welcome on into the Central Committee stream. Your host, Mike from PA. We are live. It is 7:30 a.m. in sunny Southern California. It is the morning of Thanksgiving, and we've got ourselves a Golden Kappa hype train to start off the stream. This is your limited time to get the exclusive, the coveted Golden Kappa hype train, because holy shit, let me tell you, for as little as 200 bits, a gifted sub, a resub, a prime sub, or a new sub, you can experience the joy of the Golden Kappa. Wow, it is exclusive. It is coveted. To have a Golden Kappa hype train on Thanksgiving, what a flex. New FD signifier dropped. How long? Oh my Lord in heaven. We've got feature fucking films here. Can I say, chat, that the Charlie Kirk memes have begun and nobody gives a fuck? The Charlie Kirk memes have begun and no one gives a fuck. Feature length films, dude. But there has recently been 2 National Guardsmen shot in DC yesterday. 2 National Guardsmen shot yesterday in DC. And CIA death squad member? I mean, that's really what it is. And at the time, we covered this pretty extensively over the years. Shoot. And holy shit. So basically an Afghan refugee brought into this country because he worked with our forces. But what did he work with our forces doing? A CIA death squad. And I see a lot of conservatives going like, I can't believe we brought in refugees. Which to me, I know this lesson will never be learned, but if you work for the CIA or you work for the United States military, we will abandon you. We will abandon you. We don't believe a single thing we tell you. Alleged shooter Ramanullah Lakhanwal, I tried, worked for the CIA in Afghanistan out of Kandahar base. According to CIA Director John Radcliffe, multiple sources tell me he was vetted before working with the CIA by the NCTC, National Counterterrorism Center, and the CIA. I am told that Lakhanwal was with the task force in Kandahar. Having a CIA ID would have put him in the vetted category. I'm told there was nothing in his background when he arrived in the U.S. on September 8, 2021 that suggested links to terrorism. He applied for asylum last year and reportedly received asylum in April under the Trump administration. Posh Kenneth 86, thank you for the 5 tier 1s, chat. We have a Golden Kappa hype train. And if you're happy that Mike from PA, your favorite, okay, maybe your 3rd favorite, your 4th favorite streamer is here live and alive on the glorious Thanksgiving of holiday. And you're like, you know, Mike never gets a day off. You know, Mike is here day in, day out. He gets attacked constantly, he gets insulted, he gets slandered, the slings and arrows this poor man gets. And I have the opportunity to show my support. I have the opportunity to show my friendship and my support to my buddy, my pal, my friend, Mike from PA, with a Golden Kappa hype train. Also, all gift subs are currently of at least 5 or 35% off. Wow, I didn't realize there's a massive discount going on. You get slandered? What? You must be new here. It doesn't matter. Thank you everybody for supporting the stream. We love it. Let's get into the coverage of the shooting. It is blowback. This is definitely blowback. And if you want to know what the CIA was doing at Kandahar, I think The Intercept had a really good report on this. CIA death squad Kandahar Intercept. I think they had a video on it too. Oh, okay. This will work. Democracy Now!
U.S. attorney are giving an update.
Silicon Valley roams. Questionable E. Little K86. Let me thank everybody who's gifting some amazing stuff. Thank you so much. Nesua with the prime. Here you go, Buckaroo. Thank you, Nesua. How's it going, buddy boy?
On those 2
chat. If I don't get double promoted this week, I'm going to be fucking furious at Arc Raiders. I'm going to be fucking furious. If I am not double promoted this week, I'm going to be furious. Hope you have a great holiday, Mike. Me too. I saw Vio had created a huge charcuterie board So I'm going to get fat off of cheese and cured meats and candied nuts. And she has 3 different types of really fancy cracker, which, you know, it's good to be with my people. Oh my God. What is this photo? Oh, look at this guy. He's sleepy. You're a fancy cracker? LOL. Oh, what? Of course. Louverture, thank you for the 5 tier 1s. Okay, who have I not thanked? Thank you everybody for the biddies. Sid 68, Kale Kane, Cheesy Christ, Ars, Abscondus, Senior Miyagi, Adam Pod, Z Burrows 99, Ava Sun AVT, Tempo Dan, Clear Games. Thank you for the 20 gifties. I didn't see that. You're the best. Kale Kane with the 5 more. Cerebral Brile Siren. Thank you for the 5. I tried. Let's see. And that's it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you for all the gifties, chat. Golden Kappa hype trade is 94% through level 12. We need 2 more subs to complete level 12 or 690 bits. I mean, come on. 690 bits. Come on. That's the sex number. All right. Why am I just hyping the Golden Kappa? Because it's great. You know, chat, I woke up this morning and I'm like, you know, should I stream today? People are with their families, you know. It's going to be a more chill stream. Should I just take the day off? And I said, you know what? If I don't stream, what am I gonna do? I'll be puttering around tweeting at the most annoying people. Fuck that shit. I'd rather hang out with my folks. Aesop, wow, thank you for the 5 tier 1s. Jazz 5454, thank you for the 5. Man on the left, thank you for the 5. This is amazing. Hello, Mike from PA. Found you from the YouTube. Hassan saw pandas. Oh, god damn. First of all, we got ourselves a YouTube watcher. They don't realize this is the real show. Let's go. I want to make more China content, chat. I've decided that for YouTube, we're going to have, you know, the algorithm seems to like when I defend China. Funnily enough, the algorithm is like, oh, somebody's making content about China, boost it. And it's like, I don't think they mean for me to be, I think because I'm reading people criticizing China, it thinks I'm more China critical content to like boost me. Actually funny. Like I'm getting the right-wing boost because I'm reading like articles that are critical of China and then critiquing them, and the algorithm's like, more China copying. SXN, you have been here for 7 years. You've been following me. Wait, what the fuck? Did you unfollow me? What the hell happened? Did you get mad at me for something and then come crawling back? Everybody call SXN. Oh, did you get in trouble? What happened? This motherfucker has been here for how long? And then they're like, who would be better than you besides Hassan Pepela? Copying Hassan Pepela. This mother. No, I just unfollow everyone. Pepela. Okay, dude. Good fucking cope. Thank you for helping me cope. All right, chat. Let's get into the coverage. As much as I want to sit here and milk a Golden Kappa hype train, which, you know, I should do and you should keep gifting, I do also want to talk about the shooting because it's very interesting and it is blowback. It is, we had a death squad where we got a bunch of Afghan allies to kill men, women, and children for the US. And then when our imperial regime collapsed, we brought some of these guys back and, you know, they started to feel guilty for all the kids they killed. Or they just were, you know, mentally ill. The Noob Tamer, thank you for the 10 tier 1s. Pretty bad. Noob Tamer boosting us to level 14. Let's fucking go. We're now at chat. I want to remind you something. Chat. Ethan Klein. Every time he sees my sub count above 8,000, you know he's malding. Just say. Can I talk about Ethan Klein real quick? I know we watched the Casey Tron conversation before, and I know that people get a little bit bored of it, and I do too. I'm not happy about it. I'm bored about it. But the reason why I talk about it is because women on this platform get absolutely abandoned the moment any shit hits the fan and there's a woman. They get abandoned and they get left on their own. And they have these right-wing hordes attacking them, and they don't stop. The lawsuit doesn't stop. But there is this group of people, and I don't know who, like, it honest to God feels like there is a ringleader because they say the same talking points, which leads me to believe it's some streamers. So I want to find out which leftist streamers are doing this. But basically, there's a strong voice of anti-solidarity where I'm not supposed to speak out or speak out or support women that are under attack on this platform. And I have to say, when something happens to a man on this platform that people can characterize as unfair, I mean, fuck, when Ethan Klein got sued, it was a major Reddit topic of like internet fair use freedom. And that's probably why he was able to get his algorithm boosted, his channel boosted to the point where he can now be a copyright troll. But yet, when I try to speak out against women who are being speak out on behalf of women, who are being targeted because of their Palestinian advocacy, or the fact that they are enemies of Ethan Klein's friend Destiny, people are going to call that drama. And it's like, I don't think it's drama when these people are being financially ruined because they support a movement that you claim to be a supporter of. It's really disgusting, and I fucking hate it. Here's what's happening to Casey Tron. She posted about the personal update of her being sued by Ethan Klein, and it was a pile-on of right-wing Nazis. And a lot of creators are scared to even talk about this because they feel like, not that they're going to get piled on by right-wingers, although I'm sure some of them are cowards, but they're afraid to talk about it because our own side will call them drama farmers. Our own side will say that they're not substantive and that they just do drama slop. You will be degraded. You will be talked down about in spaces if you defend Casey Tron, Denims, and Frogan in our space. And people will call it drama slop, and they'll be mad. Oh, don't make Hassan talk about that, or don't make Mike talk about that. That's drama slop. I made one tweet, by the way, and the reason why people say this. And we do have 20 seconds left on the gold Kappa hype trade. 11 subs to keep it going. Thank you, HR Beck, for the 5. The reason why people say it is because I made one tweet back in March. I mean, this is what they justify themselves for attacking me over defending these women. Because I made one tweet back in March before the lawsuits happened where I made fun of Ethan Klein for his ineffectiveness and like ruining our careers and our reputations with his attacks. And I said, the only thing that's happened is it's made me and Denims more successful. And then people who are not more successful, I guess, latched on to that. And I think it's largely streamers. I think this is a message that's being spread by a few streamers. I haven't figured out exactly who it is. I do think Cinemarxism is one of the main people. I think he has a real problem with misogyny. He constantly attacks women creators. So I think it might be him. And I don't usually say his name because I don't think about him much, but I do think this guy's Cinemarxism is kind of leading the charge of trying to attack anybody who tries to help Frogan, Casey Tron, or Denims. And so keep an eye out for that guy. But we watched this on our stream, and look at how many replies she got, 1.8K. And the reason why is because Asmongold came in here. And his followers came in here. Like, do you think Stimmy Rubs gets 3K likes with 30 followers? No. Asmongold and Tech Toad targeted Casey Tron, and she got very little solidarity other than from myself. Do you understand? And like, this is, and there's Nazi, and these are Nazis, Groypers, Nazis, FAFO, Zionists with fucking pagers in their name. Like, this is the reality. It gets annoying to talk about, but it's not drama slop. They're being sued for criticizing him, and they want to move on from him. Ethan would have tried to sue you, but you did watch the video. Ethan is a pathetic loser. Oh, of course. But the thing is, a lot of these streamers like Cinemarxism, they want me and these other creators to go bankrupt and stop streaming so that they think they're going to get more viewers, right? Because they have the more radical politics or whatever the fuck in their mind. They believe in anti-solidarity. They think that these streams don't matter. Like, their stream matters, but everyone else's stream doesn't matter. And so when they attack us and ruin our livelihoods, well, then nothing of value was lost. So they justify joining in with the Nazis and the far right because, you know, it's all personal ambition. And in the left, if you have somebody who's like this, who is transactional, who doesn't see value in others, you got to call it out. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the misogyny on the left is bad. I don't like to be a person that says shit like this. Is Marxism part of the group that piled on Vio? Exactly, yeah. He was trying to attack me, but he did it sideways to go after Vio, right? So we're dealing with that. Brett seems like a disingenuous asshole that wants to use other mistakes to put people that are already constantly shit on down even more. He is a true leftist, but hasn't read a book. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't read Capital, but he wants you to know that he knows what the true revolutionary praxis is. He hasn't had the like attention span and effort to read Capital, but he does want you to know he's going to lead a worldwide global revolution against the American military and intelligence agencies and the trillions of dollars the billionaires have at their disposal. I audiobooked it. You are a king. That counts. The clever, the industrious, the lazy, and the stupid. Each officer always possesses two of these qualities. Those who are clever and industrious, I appoint to general staff. Use can be under certain circumstances be made of those who are stupid and lazy. The man who is clever and lazy qualifies for the highest leadership posts. He has the requisite and mental clarity for difficult decisions. But whoever is stupid and industrious must be got rid of, for he is too dangerous. So true. And chat, I will be the clever and the lazy. Thank you. Marxism, Grembitch, and Rhizogeny. Yeah, exactly. Those are some of the people I'm talking about. And they have like cooked up this narrative in their spaces that Casey Tron, Denims, or Frogan speaking about their issues or asking for help is drama slop. What we really need to be talking about is their stolen Pepe emotes. So I'm sorry to have to bring this up, but I want people to start pushing back. And if you're in left-wing spaces and people are calling Casey, Tron, Denims, me, Vio, whatever the fuck, drama slop, you need to push back. And I don't care if it's somebody's mod. I don't care if you need to push back, right? And you need to let people know, hey, these people are actually facing real financial difficulty because of their pro-Palestine advocacy. And just because it's boring to you doesn't mean that it's not real. Just because you are not seeing their legal fees doesn't mean it's not real. Now, again, it's not that these people are that influential. It's just, I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing the anti-solidarity on the left. I'm tired of seeing everybody go like, and the reason why this is being spread, and I said this before, is because people saw Casey Tron being more successful, Denims being more successful, more and more people kind of seeing their streams and liking them because they were, big streams were talking about them. People went into their streams, saw them and liked what they saw and stayed. And other streamers saw that and got envious and then started spreading this idea that all they do is drama. So sorry to waste our holiday stream talking about this, but you know what holidays make me realize? It's like, who are the people that I truly love and care about? Who do I truly love and care about? And people like Casey Tron, people like Denims, these are people at Frogan who I want to no longer be facing this hardship. And the only way that's going to happen is if we have their backs. Asmongold thinks that everybody who gets rightfully nominated that isn't a straight man should be allowed at the award show because they are tokens. Very emotionally driven opinions that do not reflect the facts. I mean, Asmongold attacking everybody who was nominated in the Streamer Awards. Disgusting scum. And by the way, who to follow? I click on Casey Tron and it's like XQC. That's because she's being trolled so much by Asmongoldian scum. Aren't you giving these people free clout through naming them? No, because you'll go and see their streams and realize I'm right and they're garbage. And some of my viewers do watch them and they're maybe not aware of this. I've met this kind of dude in real IRL spaces. They're always a problem in the need of a bouncer. Online communities don't have anyone to make them feel ostracized when necessary with a good boot out of the door. There's something called the tyranny of the annoying. It's one of the lessons you learn about organizing. And one of the things is, let me see here. If I can find it. It's rule 9. Fight the tyranny of the annoying. Keep your movement inclusive and welcoming by dealing with disruptive activists appropriately. Sometimes a person with too much free time can take over a group and discourage the kind of people you want to join. Even if they have good intentions, it's better to ask them to leave your groups and create a healthy culture where they won't stop the revolution. Do not let a few bad apples become the reason not to trust volunteers at all. In other words, somebody like Marxism, who makes the spaces unwelcoming by saying, are you X? You're not welcome. Are you Y? You're not welcome. I'm here to judge you. I'm here to tell you I'm going to set myself up as some sort of fucking arbiter of good and evil, unelected, by the way. And I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to be uncharitable, and I'm going to posture. And so I want critique. I want criticism. If we're hurting people, I want us to stop. If we do something that is racist, sexist, homophobic, misogynistic, queer-phobic, whatever, I want people to be like, hey, Mike, you did that thing. Sometimes I'll say someone's being a bitch or a pussy. I shouldn't say that because it is kind of a misogynistic. It trades on misogynistic tropes, even though I don't mean it as like you're a woman. I mean cowardly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still trading on those tropes, and I need to do better. I mean, it is what it is. But I also don't think. And then what's really important about this is we can't become navel-gazing. We can't become so policed in our language and require so many different terms and things to be known. And we can't be screening people from because of their background. That's another or race or gender. I do not accept that. That's a bad fucking policy. Now, if somebody's a Nazi, that's a different story. But, there's always a line. I wish the big influencer news channels would cover the Ethan Klein lawsuits. I mean, they did. They did. And the logic of the internet is that these situations are what they are. They are ephemeral as far as their coverage in the media. I mean, people are going to be bored by me talking about this. Aiden's Ross Streamer Awards is officially locked into this December, putting Aiden Ross's Streamer Awards is officially locked in December, putting Cutie Cinderella's rigged event to rest. I would sue them. I would sue them for using my likeness. I'm legitimately serious. I probably wouldn't care if it was like neutral, but showing you weeping, crying because of some trauma that you went through, and then them putting it to advertise. By the way, this guy has been accused by Amaranth of being an abuser. And he's at the top, front and center. I'm sorry, not front and center, but is prominently pushed by Kick.
Live from the Fonda Theater in Hollywood is the inaugural Streamer Awards.
Welcome to the second annual Streamer Awards.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third ever Streamer Awards.
Well, welcome everyone to the fourth annual Streamer Awards. It.
I mean, Kick is really just about botting. It is a bot platform. Everybody on it is a botter. Everybody who goes on it becomes less relevant, which is why they all come slinking back to Twitch. Is there a category for Kick's best on-air death or biggest predator of underage girls? Jesus. I want you to the best of your ability explain to me how a 100% community voted award ceremony is rigged. I don't think it's 100% community voted. View botting doesn't make money and events are very expensive and difficult to run. The advantage that Kick has is that they are connected to a expensive crypto casino where they're making money hand over fist when teenage boys become addicted to gambling. And more men are becoming financially imperiled because they gamble. All right, let's talk about the shooting now. I'm sorry for that rant, but I'm just so tired of the fucking blatant misogyny. And the thing is, like, as I said before, I am not a perfect person. Like, I do things occasionally that I, in hindsight, would consider a little misogynistic. I'm not saying that I am perfect. Nobody's perfect. And I see some of these trends that are just disgusting. And there's very few men on this platform that are anywhere close to treating women properly. Like, honest to God, it's a problem. Cutie is so hard working and legit hilarious. She deserves, I mean, it is basically the Streamer Awards was something that our community needed desperately. And these guys are trying to destroy it for right-wing culture war slop. So basically, some crusty-ass smelly incels said the awards weren't real and irrelevant for several years because women bad. And now that the show is big, those same crusty-ass losers can't hang and need a safe space for awards? Yes. They want to destroy it because they make money out of the drama. And that's what... And that is kind of the essence of social media. Social media incentivizes destruction and criticism far more than constructive shit. And whenever something constructive does emerge, there's an even bigger incentive to try to undermine it. All right, let's get into the news. Done with this talking about this. Sorry, chat, but I just had to get it off my chest.
The FBI director and the U.S. attorney are giving an update on those 2 National Guard members who were shot Wednesday just blocks from the White House. Let's listen in.
During this difficult time, the 2 National Guards men
Tom, thank you
that
so
we're
much for the
talking
20.
about are
You're
Sarah
best.
Beckstrom, who's 20 years old, and Andrew Wolf, who is 24 years old. They were uniformed members of the West Virginia National Guard, and they were in D.C. to keep D.C. safe, pursuant to President Trump's executive order to make D.C. safe and beautiful. They answered the call. They took the charge. They volunteered. They put their lives on the line for people they don't even know. And that, unfortunately, is becoming a reality more and more for the members of law enforcement. Yesterday on Thanksgiving Eve at approximately 2:15, near 17th and I Streets in the northwest section of the district, near the Farragut West Metro Station, 2 uniformed guardsmen were ambushed in a brazen and targeted attack. A lone gunman opened fire without provocation, ambush style, armed with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. One guardsman is struck, goes down, and then the shooter leans over and strikes the guardsman again. Another guardsman is struck several times. Fellow guardsmen who were there responded immediately, engaging the suspect, neutralizing the threat, and subduing him at the scene. He was transported to a local hospital where he remains, as we speak, under heavy guard. Thanks to the swift and coordinated response of the National Guard and the Metropolitan Police Department, no additional victims were harmed, and the scene was secured within minutes. The suspect, he has been identified as Ramanullah Lakanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan who entered the United States under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome, a program following the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan.
So in other words, what they're saying is, if you're an American, right before we go to war in Venezuela, they want to announce, if you put your life on the line for America, we will never bring you, and things go sideways, we will not allow you into this country. And if we do, and anybody else commits a crime or an attack, we're going to collectively punish everybody who was a former American ally. America truly, like, working for America is just the most in foreign policy. How do people fall for this?
Resided in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife, and we believe 5 children. And we're working very closely with our federal partners, especially DHS and the FBI, to review his immigration history and the vetting process itself. What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital. As we stand here today, the charges that are appropriate right now are 3 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed, a violation of D.C. Code 22-401 and D.C. Code 22-4502. He will also be charged with possession of a firearm during a crime of violence. He faces 15 years under the assault with the intent to kill. We intend to continue monitoring what the charges will be, depending upon the well-being of the guardsmen. We are praying that they survive and that the highest charge will not have to be murder in the first degree. But make no mistake, if they do not, that will certainly be the charge, murder in the first degree. The Department of Justice, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, is committed to a thorough and an impartial investigation where we will hold this perpetrator accountable under the full weight of the law. Now, Sarah and Andrew volunteered. They came here to protect the people of the district, pursuant to a crime emergency that President Trump rightly declared in this city and in other cities across the country.
If you want, before we get into this like right-wing blathering, we should probably get the context of exactly what happened.
Manu, we are at 18th and 8th Streets Northwest, about a block and a half from the White House. I'll have our photojournalist Joe Merkel train his camera past me and down 8th Street. 8th Street now closed off. You can see there's a huge swarm of police activity. We believe the shooting just occurred just down this block. According to the Joint Task Force, which oversees the National Guard, the shooting occurred at the Farragut, near the Farragut West Metro Station, which is just down the block here. These are Secret Service police officers directing traffic, trying to get traffic clear from this area. I just heard this one officer tell people that unless you are parked down here or you're staying at one of the hotels down in that in this area of 8th Street, even foot traffic not allowed down on that street.
I just want to read a news statement we have gotten from the governor of West Virginia, Patrick Morrisey, who is saying this now. He said, "We are now receiving conflicting reports about the condition of our 2 Guard members and will provide additional updates once we receive more complete information. Our prayers are with these brave service members, their families, and the entire Guard community." And that was at 4:04 p.m. So just moments ago. Remember, that was just before he had just after he had posted that the 2 members were shot and they had died from their injuries. So John Miller, what's your? I mean, hopefully this is good news that these members are still alive and they're fighting for their life and can make it through these injuries and these gunshot wounds. What's your reaction to the governor now saying that they're conflicting reports about their condition, and they're going to wait to give additional updates until they get more complete information?
Well, it's one of the things that you see when you have politicians and elected officials who jump into these things and get into that news cycle. One of the things that you experience when you get used to showing up to these things as a commander, as an investigator, as I have many times, is that the first story is never right, and that the details don't come together all at once. It is a series of pixels that you have to develop and get a richer picture as you go. So I'm not surprised at the sudden reversal. We can only pray that it's correct and that it stays correct, that one or more of them has survived. This is part of the fog of war, and it's why even as I describe these things, as does Chuck Ramsey and Andy McCabe, we always start off with this is preliminary, and it's still coming together. That could be a glimmer of better news. Again, we're going to have to wait till we get the official word from medical people where they're being cared for, because they're the only ones who are going to really know.
Yeah, so just again, if you're just tuning in, the shooting near the White House a couple hours ago, 2 National Guardsmen shot initially.
I do think it's interesting how, and a chatter just mentioned
Governor
this.
of West Virginia said,
said the entire Guard community sounds funny. Who do they serve? LMAO, it's like an artifact of identity politics. But the racist version we're so familiar with here. The National Guard community, guys, these are armed agents of the state being imposed on DC from a outside without invitation. This wasn't like a tour group that got shot up. Okay, let's be honest about what's going on here. And this is an escalation when you bring out uniformed service members onto the streets. People with grievances against these service members may attack, and it is creating tension in the community. Now, I think the attacker is a fucking insane lunatic, and this is not going to advance any kind of political objective, which I don't think it was an attempt to do. I think this was an individual person nihilistically trying to get satisfaction for their grievances. It wasn't part of some sort of political objective. Shooting some random private West Virginia is not going to advance any political cause. This is no different than going to a fucking school or a mall or a movie theater or a concert and just shooting random people.
That they had died from the shooting that occurred, but now the governor is saying that there's conflicting information out there, and they'll provide
or a psyop. I mean, this guy was CIA connected. What could make Trump's, appeals for more National Guard troops in DC more than an attack on National Guard troops? I don't think that is a completely out of the question. If there's any person in this who's been president who's more willing to approve an attack on American citizens, I can't imagine. Like, Donald Trump has got to be the most willing to kill Americans of any president we've ever had.
Updates once they receive more complete.
Now, but the thing is, that's speculation. We don't have any direct evidence of it. It's just, at this point, I'm not taking anything off the table. Nothing is too far-fetched when dealing with the Trump administration.
So we'll try to learn more about their condition as the shooter is also in custody and also injured as well. And John, stay with us, because joining me now is former senior FBI official and active shooter expert Catherine Schweit and former Washington, D.C. Police Chief Charles Ramsey. He's a CNN senior law enforcement analyst. And we're also joined by phone by Steve Moore. He's a CNN law enforcement contributor and a retired FBI agent. So, Charles, first to you. This is the city which you ran this police department for some time. Walk us through what you expect is happening behind the scenes right now among law enforcement.
Well, behind the scenes, since this individual who the crime is in custody, they've no doubt already ID'd him. They're now taking steps to go through his social media footprint. Probably executing search warrants at a residence, a vehicle, if he had a vehicle in the area. They're trying to get as much information as possible to try to determine the motive. John is coming up with a lot of information from the scene right now, but there's also an awful lot of questions that are unanswered. He's absolutely right. There'd be a parallel investigation going on with DC homicide as well as the JTTF because these individuals were guardsmen. Hopefully the second post that we got from the governor is good news, but it also points out a problem with social media and people wanting to be the first to get information out, and information that is not always accurate. And, these people have families. And they watch television, and to think that your loved one has been murdered, and if it turns out not to be true, think about the trauma that causes. So you need to have facts. And John was also right when he said the first story is usually not right. The late John Timoney.
The motive is secondary. The White House will push whatever narrative it wants. Dems need to be pushing the responsibility on Trump. He created the soft targets by sending the National Guard to stand around. The Dems need to be out there yelling, Trump has the blood of our brave, beautiful soldiers on his hands. I think the problem is the Democratic leadership just isn't who they need to be. Like, they're just not ever going to do that. They look at the polls. The polls say Americans like the troops, and they run and hide. They have no interest whatsoever in criticizing their use. I mean, I really believe that if Donald Trump marched the National Guard down the street and machine gunned down 50 people, the Democrats wouldn't protest. Like, I legitimately believe that the only thing that has kept us from an authoritarian crackdown is Donald Trump doesn't want to risk it, right? Like, and I think that if he went for it, he would have a very good shot of winning because the Democrats are just so incapable of offering even token resistance. And so right now we're just being saved by the fact that the Republicans haven't really tried it. And I hope they don't. I hope they calculate that it's too risky. And they never try it, because God forbid they did. The Democratic Party is so incapable of offering any resistance whatsoever. Mike, the liberal Democratic base is radicalized. I agree with you. I fucking agree with you. I think the wine moms are ready for President AOC. I think it's the long-term socialists who are the concern for me. It is the socialist, majority guys at DSA who've been eating shit for 5 years and they think that Americans can only accept so much change, they've become the incrementalists they fought against, because they don't realize that ground is moving beneath our feet. We need to go wide. A Democratic Socialist nominated candidate might win in a Trump plus 10 district. We're going to cover that story later. We need to be going wide, and we need to be shooting for the moon. We need to do the brand new Congress. We need to do the Justice Democrats. It was too early in 2017, but now the time is ripe. And we have an issue that everybody understands as separating the Zionists and the establishment from regular people, Israel and Palestine. We have an easy issue that we can hammer on the establishment Democrats at deep blue seats and beat them. That's what we need. I wish I had the pool to make it happen. Open presents. Thank you for the 25 gifties. And you'll see what I mean. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this wine mom.
Message for the Democratic Party, specifically Schumer, Jeffries, and the others in either the Senate or the House. I'm done. I'm done. I am your base. I have voted for Democrats for 40 years. I have never voted for a Republican, and I have voted third party a handful of times, only in a primary and only in a safe district for a Democrat. I voted for people who made me sick, but they were less dangerous than the Republicans. I had a bumper sticker on my car back in the day that said, vote for the crook. It's important, because the person who was the Democratic nominee for governor of Louisiana was Edwin Edwards, who was a crook, but he was running against David motherfucking Duke, the Klansman. I have voted for your candidates. I am a lesbian with a black, disabled, non-binary child, and I worked in an abortion clinic. I am your base, and I'm fucking done. Schumer and Jeffries blew up Vote Blue No Matter Who. They blew it up entirely with the New York mayor's race. It's disgusting, and it's done. I'm sick. I'm sick of it. You are no longer less dangerous than the Republicans. The Republicans are absolutely more dangerous in the immediate, but you are not less dangerous in the long term. And I'm
now it's so funny, because as somebody who was in the trenches in 2015, 16, 14, 17, 18, 19, that's the reality. The more you get in touch with the Democratic Party, the worse you realize it is.
I'm not holding my nose anymore. I'm not gagging as I pull a lever or fill in a bubble on a ballot. I'm done. You've killed it. I come from a family, my mom and my grandparents never voted for a Republican since the Dixiecrats and the Republicans switched sides. And as I said, I've never voted for a Republican, and I won't, but I'm done with this. Good luck.
I think people don't realize, like, I think the biggest crisis we have in kind of a discussion of politics in America today is the use of the term political party. And what happens is a lot of non-Americans especially, but even a lot of Americans who are otherwise more educated than the average on politics, they think the term Democrat means something. It does not. I want you to strip away the definition of Democrat. Democrat does not matter. What are Dixiecrats? They are Southern Democrats who are in favor of segregation and racism. They were called Dixiecrats because Dixie is a nickname for the Confederacy. The Confederacy was built on slavery and white supremacy. So they continue to support segregation and white supremacy and Jim Crow while being Democrats. Democrat doesn't mean anything. And Republican doesn't mean anything, but that's not important because we're not changing that party. Democrat doesn't mean anything. It also, you don't have to pay dues to be a Democrat. If you go to the United Kingdom and you want to be a member of the Labour Party, you have to pay dues. If you want to vote on who the leader of the Labour Party should be, you have to be a paid member. There is, when they choose their nominees for districts, it is done according to paid members within the district selecting someone. There isn't a primary that everybody comes in and votes on. It is done by party members. That's not how the Democrats work. The Democratic Party is not a party in the traditional sense. It is a brand label. And the brand is whatever you cook up in your own fucking head. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing is binding. Why do I say this? Because someone saying voting for a Democrat doesn't mean fucking dick. There isn't one policy I can name that I could be guaranteed that a Democrat would be supportive of. Not one. All right? Democrat doesn't mean anything. Why do I say that? I say that because if I run as a Democrat, for example, if I were to run as a Democrat, I have not changed a single one of my positions because I don't have to, because it means fucking nothing. So why do it? The reason you run as a Democrat is because there are millions, tens of millions of people that vote for every Democrat, no matter what. Are those people wrong? Yes. Will they vote for you if you are the Democratic nominee? Yes. What are elections about? Getting 50% plus one of the vote, or the plurality in the first past the post. So you run as a Democrat so you get free votes. That's why. It's not that complicated. Do you want free votes? So people say political party, they say Democrat, and it's a meaningless fucking term. It really is. It doesn't guarantee you anything. It doesn't mean anything. In fact, if you took over the Democratic Party apparatus, it wouldn't matter one iota. The donors will just, the rich billionaires will just stop giving money to the Democrats. It doesn't mean anything. The only reason you run as a Democrat is because you want people who vote all straight Democrat to vote for you in the general election. That is the advantage. I need you to get over it. Who gives a fuck? Now, personally, I think the Democratic Party brand is so impaired that it's not even worth that much. I think a lot of people will be like, ew, Democrat, because Democratic brand sucks so much that maybe the free votes you get from the straight party ticket voters is actually not really that much. It's not really worth it. So I personally am in favor of starting a new party because we could have a chance of making a new brand. The problem is, look what happened with Jeremy Corbyn and my party. They fucked it up. They had a big internal fight. They condemned each other. They looked like shambolic assholes. So now, by the way, and I never thought I'd say this. I never thought I'd say this, but the Green Party in the United Kingdom seems like the best party that might have a chance of winning some power. Oh my God. And the reason why I say that is they got a really cool eco-socialist leader, Zach Polanski. Giannis Varoufakis was on Zach Polanski's podcast. Oh, I need to get on that. One thing I don't like about him is his nuclear stance. I mean, the problem with Green parties is that they're full of a bunch of upper middle class, anti-natalist, like kind of weird, misanthropic, kind of like, you know, it's like J.R.R. Tolkien type people who are like, things were better when we just lived in farming villages and, you know, that kind of shit. I don't vibe with that, but it is a Green Party constituency. Babies are the real virus. They're like they're quoting the Matrix Agent Smith. Real Unabomber vibes. Yeah, exactly. I don't agree with that. I'm a socialist. I don't agree with I'm not an anti-natalist and I'm not I'm not a misanthrope. That's one of the reasons that I find Green parties to be ick.
He said that all the time, and he was absolutely right. Until you have some real investigation.
This is something I think needs clarification. And the first time I've heard about it, this is a sign that Mamdani is fucking based. Tamika Mallory is an anti-Zionist, and he's getting appointed by Mamdani. This means he's based as fuck, and I love him, and he's not a sellout. She was selected to serve on the Committee on Community Safety. Let's fucking go, dude. Like, come on. What a fucking, holy shit, what a W. Mamdani is such a king. Holy fuck. I think the problem that we have, I know we're supposed to be talking about the shooter, but we're off on a good conversation. And I think Bhaskar has a really, really, really good point here that I need to, I think I agree with him completely on this point. The intra-left conversation around Zoran this month has basically split into two camps. People attacking every individual compromise or maneuver as betrayal, and people readying themselves for uncritical defense on personalistic grounds. I couldn't agree more. This is fucking causing me to go insane. You have the socialist majority people who think that any criticism of Mamdani means that you're being a ultra, and then you have ultras that never supported him in the first place, looking for every excuse to call him a sellout. You can't have somebody say, "Hey, I disagree with the Tish appointment. I think it's a tactical error. I disagree with Zoran not endorsing for Speaker of the City Council. I think that was a major strategic blunder." Without people going like, "Oh my God, he hasn't even gotten into office yet." Blah, blah. I'm just criticizing and disagreeing, and I'm lodging my objections of various decisions as they happen. I'm giving my advice. I'm trying to shape the conversation and push him in a better direction because I believe I have some insight. But I don't want Zoran to fail. And I don't think some of the compromises he's made mean he's a sellout. I think he's actually stood very tall, to be honest with you. I think it would have been a lot easier to cave on a lot of shit. The fact that he's appointing a lot of abolitionists, he's appointing a lot of really strong police reformers into his administration is an incredibly hopeful sign. Also, I'm going to make a position that's going to surprise a lot of you. I'm glad that Bashkar is appointing a bunch of these YIMBY idiots to his housing advisory panel. There's also a lot of really good people on there, but there are some people that I consider to be idiots on Zoran's housing, and I'm glad. You know why? Because none of the things I suggest work. So go ahead and do all the things. Do single staircase reform. Do fucking upzoning. Upzone out the ass. You know, remove community input or limit it. Make the permitting, do permitting reform. That's something that does matter. And let's have permits go quickly. Block nuisance lawsuits. I'm in favor of all those things. They're marginal. They're not going to build the type of housing supply that we need. If you want to build housing supply, here's what you need. You need to break up land speculation and get land out of being warehoused. And you need government-sponsored construction, both direct provision and government support for nonprofit and co-op development that is consistent and constant and ignores market conditions and is building every year and is oversupplying. And if you want to have a market in housing, let the market, focus on the top 30% of income. But the government needs to be constantly focusing on providing housing for the bottom 70%. In New York, it's probably like the bottom 90%, if we're being honest. That's the only way you're going to fix the housing crisis, is if there is a consistent and constant government supply that is being produced and a nonprofit co-op fixed or where rent is connected to the operating costs of the building and the maintenance costs of the building. And, paying any financing that was taken out to construct it. But because you're borrowing with government money and you have access to 3% or 4% loans or 2% loans or 0% loans, the payment to finance that debt is going to be a lot lower than the private construction, using 10, 15% interest rate loans. That is the stuff that will actually move the fucking needle. All this other shit, it's marginal. I'm not saying don't do it. It's just not going to fix anything. And I want YIMBYs to see that happen and then see the failure of it not actually providing much housing. Let them go. Do it. Do all those things. They're fucking marginal. They don't matter that much. How do I know this? I've studied this shit extensively. And the only cities where housing is not in crisis are ones where the government owns either all the land, like Singapore, or has massive oversupply of socially produced housing, aka non-profited, limited profit, or state-owned supply, like Vienna. It is not everywhere else. It fucking fails. YIMBYism does not work. I'm not saying that it is bad. I'm not saying, well, I am saying that it's bad because it's tricking people to thinking that the market's going to supply the need, and it won't. The market will not. What do you think about Julie Menin, who looks like she'll be Speaker of the City Council? I think she's basically Hitler. I think she is basically if Cuomo was the Speaker of the House or Speaker of the Council. I'd say it may be the most disastrous political outcome for Zoran, and his entire administration is in jeopardy. I would say it's such a bad outcome that I'm concerned. He may not be able to do any of his agenda if she's the Speaker. I consider it to be an existential threat to his entire administration. So it's very bad. If you want an idea of what Julie Menin is like, this is what she's like. Can I unmute?
Israel's original sin, and you have this chapter in the book called "My Search for Israel's Original Sin." Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about what is Israel's original sin and and why you wanted to search for it?
So, my first book, I was talking to a Jewish communal leader, telling her about the chapters on ethics and God and Shabbat, on and on. And she looked at me and she said, and the chapter on Israel? And I had this long thing about, no, and it's distracting, la, la, la. And she looked at me and she goes, well, that's a cop-out. And the truth is it was. You know, I felt a lot of anxiety about Israel. It seems so complicated. And I hate to say this now, but I think on some deep level, I had a feeling that there was something probably fundamentally problematic about Israel's founding and existence that if I did enough research, I would discover and I would not be able to defend. And
that you would be part of the general agreement.
Exactly. Like I was actually, which is just, I'm so embarrassed by this now. It is such a painful thing to admit.
Sarah, this is what we're dealing with. I hear this all the time. So you're just saying it out loud from people who otherwise just say it quietly or in small, groups.
As I did the research, I was like, you know what Israel is, Dan? Okay, I'm going to say something shocking and wild. Brace yourself. It's a country. It's a country. It was founded like so many other countries in the mid-20th century. Countries founded in war, partition, bloodshed. I'm sorry it's not pretty. I really wish it had, come about in unicorns and moonbeams. That would have been beautiful. I mean, look, this is how a lot of nation creation came about in the mid-20th century in the wake of World Wars I and II. Countries were partitioned, divided up, and in ways that were, I think, problematic in many ways. I'm not saying this is wonderful and great, but I think what struck me is that so often I think we educate our young people to think that Israel is exceptional. It's unlike any other nation, but it's actually completely unexceptional in its founding. And I think we have done a huge disservice to our young people when we have failed to educate them about how Israel is a country, and we have failed to normalize Israel for our young people. We have failed to say, like, here's a bunch of really unpleasant facts about how Israel was founded, and also those same facts apply to these other many, many countries. Let's go through those as well.
I want you to understand that this is profoundly fascistic, and I would call it very right-wing. I think most Americans look at America, and if you said, hey, what is the original sin of America? Everybody would look you right in the face and they would say chattel slavery and indigenous genocide. Neither of those things were good or necessary to build American power. And in fact, they made America worse, and they're a deep stain in our history. And that if we went back in time and didn't do chattel slavery and didn't do indigenous genocide, America would be a better country today. Pretty much any normal, sane person would say that, right? There are right-wingers, though, that will say, there's no difference between Westerners taking power and some of the wars that happened between indigenous tribes. They did atrocities in some of their wars, therefore our atrocities are justified. I think the average American liberal would look at this and be like, this is fucking insane. Also, it is a rejection of liberalism. This is blood and soil nationalism. This is whataboutism. This is might makes right. And I legitimately do think that this being what Michelle Obama's speechwriter is like explains exactly why Obama was a complete failure as a president. These were the people that were closest to him. Her, Larry Summers, Rahm Emanuel, David Axelrod. These were the people that were closest to Barack Obama. This is Barack Obama. Look at the Barack Obama's speechwriter.
I wish every young person could understand that, there's some really tough, hard stuff in Israel's founding, as there was in the founding of many other countries at the time. And I think our tendency to exceptionalize Israel because we want our young people to fall in love with it, it really sets them up for failure once they hit college and they hear their first bad fact and they're like stunned. They can't get over it. And they kind of freak out and throw out the whole thing because they're immature. That's what 18-year-olds do. They just kind of flip out. And there's
her definition of maturity is supporting genocide and ethnic cleansing. Now, I want you to understand something. You are dehumanizing yourself. When you make yourself into a fascist, you are dehumanizing yourself. And one of the things that concerns me is that I think a lot of these people are in delusion that this is an acceptable thing they're going to be able to do. And if you start saying stuff like this, it's going to cause people to just start killing people. If might makes right, if expelling people because you can is part of nation building process, you understand how that massively imperils every minority in the planet? And every individual is a minority. FYI, dumb fuck. It imperils Jewishness in a fundamental way. This is anti-Semitic. This is a justification for what the Nazis did. The Nazis were just simply, they were forming Germany. The unification of Germany was not complete. German speakers were scattered throughout Europe in various nations or various states that were not contiguous with what the nation of Germany is. In Germany, under Hitler, they were just trying to create Greater Germany. And if they had to displace some populations, that's just how nations are formed. This is Nazism. This is fascism.
Plenty of support.
Yeah, these city council members need to have their phones ringing 24/7. All right, let's get back to the shooting coverage.
Taking place, and you start to find out the facts that, as you know them to be, based on some evidence or statements or whatever. That information will be made public at some point in time. But you always have people that want to jump the gun and want to put too much information out there, not really having access to all the information. I hope these individuals are still alive, fighting for their lives. I truly do hope that's the case. But right now, police are focused on the investigation and trying to get to the bottom of the why this took place.
Yeah, and Catherine, this is one of your areas of expertise. So tell us what investigators are doing now with the suspect who is in custody.
I think the idea behind, this guy's in custody right now, is all what the chief just mentioned, the idea that despite the frustration and the anger that the whole rest of the team has in DC police and the rest of the National Guard, all the law enforcement, they have to do their jobs. So they have to dig in and collect the evidence they can and try to find out what do they know about this suspect and try to be able to answer the questions that really the public wants answered more than anything else. The people who are the family members and the friends of the guardsmen. And it's kind of reminiscent of, we just passed the 21st anniversary of the loss of Martha Dixon Martinez, Michael Miller, as the chief knows, Hank Daly from MPD, as killed right in their office right here in downtown the November 22nd, 21 years ago. And we just passed that anniversary and saw how it traumatized the city and law enforcement then. And they're going through that kind of trauma again, but they still have to do their jobs.
Catherine, when we do get a chance to hear publicly from the police, what are you going to be listening for? And also, when do we expect them to actually reveal the identity of the suspect, given that this person is in custody right now?
I spend a lot of time, and all I work on, it seems like, is these kind of targeted active violence that we see right now. And they'll release the information as soon as they are valid. As soon as it's valid, they're going to release it, because social media, everybody is a citizen journalist now with phones, and there'll be pictures out there that eventually will be circulating. And the law enforcement's job, as we have learned, especially over the last few, maybe 15 or 20 years, is to get the best and most accurate information out there as fast as you can in order to quell rumors and the social media stuff that's out there. We want to make sure that we end the conspiracy theories that are constantly out there. So, as we advise everybody in law enforcement, and they are well aware, getting the information out. And so they are, as John said, getting the information gathered as fast as they can, as accurately as they can, to answer all the questions that we know that law enforcement is going to have. One thing I will add too is that, one of the concerns that I have is that I do work in this area. This is we have seen in the last 15 years an increasing effort to target law enforcement specifically around the United States. So though this is happening here in Washington, D.C., where we are, we know that this is happening across the country.
Yeah, Steve Moore, you're also former FBI. I want to get your sense to respond to that. I mean, do you think this was a premeditated attack against these?
Well, it seems circumstantially, again, I don't want to get into speculating here, but it circumstantially seems very possible that this was a targeted attack against the National Guardsmen. And the only reason you would do that, the only statistically relevant reason you would do that is for political reasons, for basically domestic terrorism or international terrorism, whoever would be responsible. So the JTTF now, besides the murder of a federal officer or potential murder of a federal officer investigation, you also have to have a concurrent terrorism investigation. And what you need to know right now is first of all, is it over? I mean, you got to get on on his web pages, on the suspect's social media, interview friends, and find out, is this a lone wolf? or are we to expect other attacks?
So just to have some context of what this guy was a part of, apparently the early reporting is that he was possibly a member of one of these groups.
This is Democracy Now!, the Quarantine Report, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. A shocking expose out today in The Intercept reveals CIA-backed death squads in Afghanistan have killed children as young as 8 years old in a series of night raids, many targeting madrasas, Islamic religious schools. In December 2018, one of the death squads attacked a madrasa in Wardak province, killing 12 boys, the youngest 9 years old. The killers are believed to be from a CIA-trained and funded paramilitary unit known as 01. The United States played key roles in many of the raids, from picking targets to ferrying Afghan forces to the sites to providing lethal air power during the raids. The Intercept reports this was part of a campaign of terror orchestrated by the Trump administration that included massacres, executions, mutilation, forced disappearances, attacks on medical facilities, and airstrikes targeting structures known to house civilians. The Intercept has documented 10 night raids that resulted in at least 51 civilian deaths in the months leading up to the peace talks with the Taliban. The campaign of terror appears to have been timed to force the Taliban to the negotiating table. The 01 death squad all but vanished earlier this year after the U.S. and Taliban signed the Doha Agreement. Earlier this week, General Mark Milley, chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, met with Taliban negotiators in Qatar for unannounced talks. We go now to Kabul, Afghanistan, to speak with the journalist Andrew Quilty, Australian reporter and photojournalist who's been based in Afghanistan for many years. His new piece is just out, titled The CIA's Afghan Death Squads. Andrew, welcome to Democracy Now! Tell us what you found and describe the boy, the young man, 12 years old, Bilal, and the horror he described.
Thanks for having me, Amy. Yeah, you've given a great synopsis there of what me and The Intercept found in our reporting over several months this year and last. Bilal, who was one of the survivors and one of the witnesses of the worst raid of the 10 that we documented in great detail, was, as you said, 12 years old, and he was one of about 25 young Islamic school students who stay overnight in these madrasas because they live too far away to go back and forth each day. So on this night, in fact, it was 2 years to the day that this raid occurred, and he was there with, as I said, 25 other students. They had eaten a basic meal of beans and bread and gone to sleep when at about 10 or 10:30 at night they started hearing the buzz of drones overhead. And soon after that, a number of soldiers.
Let's look about what our Afghan allies did. What were CIA Afghan allies doing?
A raid is one of the most defensive and intrusive ways to place yourself in someone's life. To come to people's homes at night when they are most vulnerable in such a scary way. And when that happens to someone who isn't the right target, they're left with that trauma, night after night and years after. It is a psychological strategy. The US knew that when they used it here in Afghanistan. For years, I've gone on a quest to count the deaths from these night raids. This story is personal to me. My name is Lindsay. When I was 2 years old, A night raid in Nangarhar province killed my sister and mother during the Civil War. My father was killed later in fighting.
Happy Thanksgiving, Red Crusader. Appreciate you.
I was adopted by a British family living in Pakistan. When I was 12 years old, I moved with them to Israel.
Oh my God. I didn't know about that.
When I was in my early 20s, I started looking into my biological family.
British Israelis?
I didn't know anything about them.
What the fuck?
I actually tried to hire investigators to help me look into it. They were totally uninterested to help. By that time, I had become a reporter in the UK. So I decided to go back to my homeland and investigate my past myself. But what I found in Afghanistan was bigger than anything I had imagined. A bridge that would tie past, present, and future.
Hours ago, the last American troops left Afghanistan.
The US's longest war is over.
20 years since it began on October 2001.
Oh yeah, Spawn Boys, right?
In 2001, everything changed. Days after September 11th, the first CIA officers touched down in Afghanistan, targeting the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Over the past 2 decades, that strategy largely consisted of drone strikes, airstrikes, and night raids. I was in Nangarhar, looking into my personal story, when I met a widow named Masala. She told me the story of how masked soldiers came to her home in the middle of the night and shot and killed her only 2 sons. I knew what it felt to live without knowing why your family had been killed. That it is not possible to move on from the grief without answers. I felt this huge responsibility to look into what had happened to Masala and others. I learned that the raid on her home was conducted by elite squadrons of Afghan special forces backed by the United States. They were known as the Zero Units. Over the last 4 years of the war, these units killed hundreds of civilians. They were overseen by the CIA, and their targets were selected using American intelligence. I spent more than 3 years investigating hundreds of night raid operations. I also spent 6 months trying to find soldiers from inside the unit to talk to. I really wanted to find out how they felt when civilians were killed in these operations. I met 2 Afghan soldiers who I'll call Basir and Hadi for their safety. They fought in this unit for years.
زما نوم مستر بي دی د افغانستان د سفري قطعې د شرقي زون نظامي پاتې شوی یم. ما ویل چې زموږ غریبه کورنۍ وو مور مې ناروغه و ما پیسو ته اړتیا درلوده موږ اورېدل چې دا قطعه د CIA مربوط دی او دوی معاشونه هم په ډالرو دي د خپلې مور د خدمت په خاطر کوښښ کوي بالاخره د سفردو قطعې ته راغلو که اطلاعات راشي بیا عملیات ترسره کیږي موږ ته د خپل قومندان لخوا معلومات راکول کیږي موږ یوازې د دغه اجازه لرو له اتیا تنو کم عملیاتو ته نه ځي لس تر 12 تنو امریکایان وي
In 2019, Basir and Hadi told me about a night raid in Logar province when they killed 4 members of a family. I'd later speak to the surviving grandfather and uncle. This was not the first time they had killed civilians, but it was this raid that felt like a turning point in their lives.
دروازه په بام روانه زوغه چې دا مساکې د مو سره سره وره د بودی د شګیز دی و دا ولګي د نس
I'll read the translations. My granddaughter was close. She was wounded in the abdomen. They yelled, "Come out with your hands up." I shouted in return. Stop shooting, people have already been killed. Intelligence was wrong. There was no single Taliban fighter among the dead. These killings happened at our hands. They saw that the martyrs did not look like the Taliban, they were little children. Our father already suffers from heart disease, and this tragedy has had a mental effect on him.
Zero
units aim at eliminating terrorism in Afghanistan. In some places, however, they increased it. The Americans claim they have the best technology. Why can't they discriminate between civilians and enemies? They are Americans killing Afghans, and we are Afghans killing Afghans.
What you are looking at is Taliban fighters inside the presidential palace.
I felt so helpless when the Taliban took control of the country again. After everything I've seen in the last 4 years, I wonder why the US has never been held accountable for the damage they leave behind. Everyone in Afghanistan has a shared pain, about what these raids have left behind, whether that's the families or the soldiers conducting them.
Very livers, but I get it.
Night raids failed in Vietnam, Iraq, and now Afghanistan. Who will suffer when America uses this same failed tactic in their next war? I didn't finish finding all my answers, that's true. But I did get some closure through Basir, strangely enough. His remorse helped loosen something in me. Although he didn't kill my family, he is a perpetrator. If Basir was brave enough to speak about the pain he had caused, I could also share my own story and talk about the pain I had buried. I could also start healing.
The U.S. left Basir and Hadi behind. Their voices were changed to protect their identities. No one has been able to contact Hadi since the Taliban took control. He's presumed to have been killed. Basir went into hiding after attempting to flee Afghanistan. In 2022, he was captured by the Taliban. Ghulam Razul and Madiullah and their surviving relatives are still waiting for someone to take responsibility for the killings. The CIA said in a statement that the U.S. treats claims of human rights abuses with utmost seriousness and takes extraordinary measures to reduce civilian casualties in armed conflict. The Department of Defense did not respond. And this is why when these type of attacks happen, it is important that we recognize our own complicity in creating this violence. Now, I don't know exactly what he did for the CIA. I don't know exactly what this guy did for the CIA.
But I just want to start by giving you just a sense of everything we know as of right this moment. According to the D.C. Metro Police, at around 2:15 local time, a suspect came around the corner of 17th Street and I Street, just about 2 blocks from the White House. And witnesses told the Washington Post that they heard 2 or 3 gunshots, followed by a pause and then more shots. The D.C. police say the attack appears to have been carried out by a lone gunman who ambushed 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard while they were patrolling the area. The Guard members then returned fire. Officials are calling it a targeted attack. Now, I should warn you that some of the images we are about to show are quite graphic. So if you would like to look away, I just want to give you a little bit of a warning right now. Now, as of tonight, the suspected gunman, who has been identified as Rahmanullah Lakhanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan national, is in custody. But authorities have still not said anything publicly about a motive, and that can sometimes take some time. We're going to talk to some guests about that in a moment. The suspect was subdued and apprehended by other members of the National Guard, along with law enforcement who were in the vicinity of the attack. And the two members of the National Guard who were tragically shot have been hospitalized and remain in critical condition at this time. A video from the aftermath of the shooting appears to show a team of first responders doing chest compressions on one of those National Guard members, while another team member cares for the other. And just to show you just how close this shooting was to the heart of D.C., again, just blocks from the White House, one of those National Guard members was taken in an ambulance and transported to the National Mall, where they were then medevaced to a trauma center. All of this unfolded so close to the White House that it briefly placed a lockdown on the whole area, along with the Treasury Department next door. President Trump was not at the White House at the time, having left D.C. Last night, actually, to spend the Thanksgiving holiday at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. And likewise, Vice President J.D. Vance was out.
Oh, it turns out, Chad, I suspected that, and it appears that what I suspected is now confirmed. This just dropped. What were the Afghan Zero units that the National Guard shooting suspect reportedly worked for? So it turns out that what was originally some of my speculation is now been confirmed. How do I keep doing it? How do I keep doing it? Sometimes it's just like, what the fuck, man? How do I keep doing it? I think this is my one superpower is I just remember shit. For me, it's just like, it's like I don't understand how people don't remember shit. Like I don't get it. It's like, how do you not know? How do you not remember this shit? Like when I learned about the 0 unit death squads, it stuck with me and I remembered it. It's like, how the fuck do people forget this shit? I don't know.
Outside D.C. at the time of the shooting as well. Now, in response to today's attack, Secretary of Defense.
What did I remember? I just entered. Oh, God. I was just saying that I thought this guy was a member of the CIA's 0 unit death squads, and it turns out he is. The guy who shot the National Guard at D.C. was a former CIA agent, a member of the CIA 0 unit death squad in Afghanistan.
Pete Hegseth announced that President Trump has ordered another 500 Guard members into D.C.
This happened just steps away from the White House. It will not stand. Wow. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary of the Army to the National Guard, to add 500 additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful.
Now, those 500 new National Guard members would come on top of the already 2,188 Guard members already assigned to D.C.
More than one.
The
Beg
FBI
the
Joint
five.
Terrorism
Appreciate
Task
you.
Force is leading the investigation into today's shooting, working to determine if it was an act of terrorism. The Secret Service is also looking into whether the shooter intended to target the White House itself or anyone under the Secret Service's protection. But as of now, there is still a lot we don't know. The investigation is really just beginning. And again, we'll bring you anything we learn during the next hour to update you. But joining me now to discuss all of this is MS Now Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian and former Assistant Special Agent in charge at the FBI, Michael Feinberg. Ken, let me just start with you. You've been covering this all very, very closely. Tell me, is there anything that I missed there about where the investigation stands right now, or any updates that you've had from your sources?
There's one new piece of information, Jen, and the New York Times is reporting, and MS Now has confirmed, Mark Santia and I, that this 29-year-old Afghan entered the country in 2021 through a Biden administration program called Operation Allies Welcome, which accepted around 90.
Not just any 0 unit, the Kandahar Strike Force. They were the most active and professional forces trained and equipped by the CIA. All their operations were conducted under CIA command.
1,000 Afghans. And people may remember it was a kind of a furious operation at the end of at the conclusion of America's involvement. And
thank you, Bumblebee123 for the 20 gifted subs. Appreciate you, Malta1 for the 5. Thank you everybody for all the biddies. Appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm sorry that this happened. You know, I feel like we all need to understand that America's foreign policy has consequences. We're spending $1 trillion on this shit every year, killing people. It's going to have consequences. I just hope and pray that nobody I know is hurt because of these blowback, because of all the enemies our country is creating around the world. I hope nobody I know is killed. Now, my family lost a family friend in 9/11. We personally knew the captain of the United flight that struck one of the towers on 9/11. My family went to the funeral. I'm tired of people thinking that the United States could just Bigfoot its way around the world, subjugating people, exploiting them, stealing their national resources, sanctioning them, supporting their genocide, and it's not going to blow back. America needs to be contained, and we need to be brought back home. And we need to stop interfering in other countries. We need to stop sending our military abroad. We are a wealthy country with a lot to offer the world, and we should engage in mutually beneficial trade. We should not in any way be trying to dictate the way people run their governments. Bring the troops home, dismantle the Pentagon, dismantle the CIA, dismantle the NSA. America should have a minimally compelling deterrent military. I don't want us to be invaded by other countries. I don't want us to be colonized by other countries. But we should not have any ability or desire. We should close down all our foreign military bases, end our entangling military alliances abroad, and engage in mutually beneficial trade with our neighbors. The United States should not be a global power. There shouldn't be global powers. Quig on Kev, thank you for the 10 tier 1s.
Afghanistan, where we were trying to give sort of rescue some of the people that had helped the United States cause, or Afghans who were in danger. And there was a lot of vetting that took place very quickly. And this person was admitted into the country at that time. Now, there are also reports, we have not confirmed these reports, that he then later applied for asylum last year and was granted asylum by the Trump administration this year. Again, MS Now has not confirmed those reports, but in fairness, I want to offer the full context for our viewers. And so that, of course, is one piece of the puzzle here as investigators try to seek out what the motive is. And we don't know what the motive is, but obviously thoughts are, of course, turning to, was this some form of Islamic extremist terrorism? That's not without precedent in these kinds of situations. That's exactly what investigators are looking into right now. As soon as the FBI concluded that this was a targeted attack on uniformed members of the armed services, they took over the investigation from DC police, worked to identify the suspect, and now no doubt are going through his digital footprint, his social media accounts.
It's not very complicated. He was a member of a death squad unit. He killed a bunch of civilians. America abandoned Afghanistan to the Taliban after being defeated, and he was brought to the United States where he was treated like subhuman trash. And the guilt got to him, and the hatred of America, it probably grew in his heart. He fucking lashed out and shot at uniformed members of the military. It's not complicated. The guy, it's blowback. It's blowback. We don't even know if he was remorseful about the crimes he committed for America, but he certainly had hate in his heart. That's the one thing we do know. It doesn't take a genius to figure out the motivation. You kill men, women, and children for the CIA, and then you're left with nothing.
Of your relatives trying to piece together everything they can learn about this man's life while he was in the United States, his movements before the attack, where he got the weapon. All those questions at the moment are unanswered.
New York Times report on this. DC shooting suspect worked with CIA-backed unit in Afghanistan. The CIA and an Afghan intelligence official said that the shooter had been part of an Afghan partner force trained and supported by the agency in the southern province of Kandahar. Please don't be AI.
DC shooting suspect.
Damn it. God damn it. Can we just get, like, why can't reporters just read their article and upload the, like, you know what I mean? Like, do the voice act. Like, what the fuck? Got 4 reporters on it. Have one of them read the fucking thing. Or hire someone who's good at it. The Afghan man accused of shooting 2 members of the National Guard in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday had worked with CIA-supported military units in Afghanistan, the agency said. The CIA said that the shooter had been part of a CIA-backed Afghan partner force in the southern province of Kandahar, a stronghold of the Taliban. Oh, we have a hype train going on, chat. What the fuck? Thank you so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys... I'm sorry this is such a bummer story. I hope you're having a good Thanksgiving. I'm going to expose my Americanness. I like Thanksgiving. I'm not the biggest turkey enjoyer, But I like Thanksgiving. I like it. I've always liked it. I think that coming together, I like feasts. Feasts are great. We all just come together and we make a shit ton of food and we just have a giant plate and we just relax. I like it. I wish we had more feasts. I wish we had more feasts in our life. Bring back feasting. You know what holiday I want to bring back? Saturnalia. This is what we need to bring back. This is the fucking holiday we need to bring back. Not a Bacchanalia, a Saturnalia. The holiday was celebrated with a sacrifice at the Temple of Saturn in the Roman Forum and a public banquet followed by private gift giving, continual partying, and a carnival atmosphere that overturns Roman social norms. Gambling was permitted, and masters provided table service for their slaves, as it was seen as a time of liberty for both slaves and freedmen alike. So in other words, all the rich motherfuckers had to serve everyone else. We need a motherfucking Saturnalia. Donald Trump should be walking around like in his McDonald's apron. That's what we need. We need to bring this shit back. Now this is a party. Okay, let's get back to the incredibly depressing story. Thank you for the hype trade, guys. Gals, non-binary pals. A stronghold of the Taliban insurgency during the 2-decade war there. Officials identified the suspect of Rahmanullah Lakhdwal, 29. After American forces withdrew from Afghanistan in August 2021 and gave way to Taliban rule, the suspect was brought to the United States as part of a program to evacuate Afghans who had worked with the agency, according to CIA Director John Radcliffe. Mr. Lakhdwal's affiliation with the CIA-supported unit was earlier reported by Fox News Digital. In the wake of the disastrous Biden withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Biden administration justified bringing the alleged shooter to the United States in September 2021 due to his prior work with the U.S. government, including the CIA, as a member of a partner force at Kandahar, which ended shortly following the chaotic evacuation, Mr. Radcliffe said in a statement. So what? We're supposed to leave the death squad allies in Afghanistan? Happy Thanksgiving. I don't think there's going to be a Thanksgiving. At the time, the CIA would have done his own vetting of him through a variety of databases, including the NCTC database, to see if he had any known ties to terror groups. The CIA did its own vetting and kept the identities of who they worked with secret. Among the databases CIA would run his name through before working with him would have been among several the NCTC database. He was clean. He was clean on all checks. This official added that the U.S. government has been doing continuous annual vetting since Afghans' arrival in the U.S., especially in the wake of a failed terror plot disrupted before the election last year in Oklahoma, which involved an Afghan evacuee. Wow, I can't believe blowback is happening. Yes, he may have been 15, but it was common at that time for Afghans to forge birth certificates to appear to be 18 or older before applying to work with the U.S. government. The U.S. hired child soldiers for their death squad. That's not typically what you do when you're the good guys. I'm just saying. Mr. Radcliffe said the alleged assailant should have never been allowed to come here. Wait, what? Why? This is conservative brain in a nutshell. God, they're so fucking stupid. An Afghan intelligence official, instead of saying we should never have invaded Afghanistan or we should never have set up death squads. If he's 29 today, chat, that means he was 4 years old when 9/11 happened. Or 5 years old when 9/11 happened. And he got hired into a U.S. We were so long in Afghanistan that he got hired into a death squad. Perhaps we should have been in Afghanistan for a quadrillion fucking years, wasting trillions of dollars and setting up death squads. An Afghan intelligence official, speaking on condition of anonymity because he wasn't allowed to comment publicly on the issue, confirmed that Mr. Lakhdwal had served with Kandahar in one of what were known as Zero units, which were formerly part of the Afghan intelligence service. The Zero units were a paramilitary force that had been trained for nighttime raids targeting suspected Taliban members and were accused by human rights groups of widespread killings of civilians. The intelligence official said that one of Mr. Lakhdwal's brothers was the deputy commander of the Zero unit in Kandahar, which was known as 03. The Afghan units, trained and supported by the CIA, played an important role in the American evacuation as the Taliban drove out the U.S.-backed government in 2021. While many Afghan military units dissolved in the face of the Taliban takeover, the CIA's partners remained operational and helped bring U.S. citizens and Afghans who had worked with American forces to Kabul to be evacuated out of the country. Mr. Lakhdwal grew up in a village in the eastern province of Khost. A childhood friend who asked to be identified only as Mohammed because he feared Taliban reprisals said Mr. Lakhdwal had suffered from mental health issues and was disturbed by the casualties his unit had caused. Mohammed said that he had last seen Mr. Lochinwal a few weeks before the Taliban takeover in 2021 when he came to Coast to marry his second wife. Mr. Lochinwal had started smoking weed, he said, and ended up divorcing his wife a few days after the wedding. He said he last spoke with Mr. Lochinwal in 2023 when he appears to have settled well in the United States with his first wife and their children, but he said he couldn't forget what Mr. Lochinwal told him the last time they saw each other in Coast. He would tell me and our friends that their military operations were very tough, their job was very difficult, and they were under a lot of pressure. When he saw blood, bodies, and the wounded, he could not tolerate it, and it put a lot of pressure on his mind, even if they were from the enemies. Taliban officials on Thursday denounced the actions of zero units during the war. A provisional governor in Nangarhar, in eastern Afghanistan, accused the groups of looting during the chaotic fall of the U.S.-backed government. After that, they fled to the United States in search of a better life, Mr. Badloun said in a social media post. These traitors still do not let the Afghan people live in peace. I mean, the Taliban didn't just win. They absolutely crushed the United States. Like, it is fucking crazy, dude.
Our nation's capital should not and must not be a place where evil comes to commit violence, whatever their cause or motive may be. We should not have to live in fear in the nation's capital, especially by one who came here from a foreign country. And through a process that was so absurd that he came through and released into this country, as many were, knowing virtually nothing about his vetting. This is what happens in this country when people are allowed in who are not properly vetted. These guardsmen and all who are here to protect the district are the line that separates a civilized society from a barbaric one. They are the ones who stand for law and order. This was not just an attack. It was a direct challenge to law and order in our nation's capital. And the individual will be made fully accountable. And though it seems that we have been here before under President Trump, make no mistake, and the Attorney General, we will not allow this to be normalized. It will be confronted, condemned, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, my message to the individual who committed these acts is you picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you will be sorry for the violence and the evil that you perpetrated in our nation's capital. And now I call upon the director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thanks, Judge. I'll begin my remarks and end my remarks the same way, with prayer for our fallen soldiers, prayer for our law enforcement community, prayer for our National Guardsmen and women, prayer for our brave prosecutors at the Department of Justice and the offices of the D.C. United States Attorney. We must come together as a nation, especially on this Thanksgiving Day, and remember the sacrifices that so many are making around the world and around this country to secure our freedoms under President Trump's brilliant leadership and administration. I'll provide an update on the case as follows. It is an ongoing investigation of terrorism. Make no mistake about it. The FBI is leading out on these federal assault on a federal law enforcement officer investigation on many fronts. We immediately, with our law enforcement partners in the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, secured the scene, seized the weapon, sent in our evidence response team immediately to collect evidence, and started doing block-by-block canvasses. We are looking for and interviewing witnesses. The firearm and other materials have been sent to our Quantico laboratory already yesterday for immediate analysis. That work is ongoing. Partnering with the D.C. United States Attorney's Office, we have also executed multiple search warrants around the country to include the subject's last known residence, which is in the state of Washington. The search warrant was executed on that house last night or early this morning, and it is an ongoing process. All the individuals found in the house have been interviewed, and some interviews remain ongoing. We will not stop until we interview anyone and everyone associated with the subject, the house, and every piece of his life. There's also subject interviews, relations conducted in San Diego, pursuant to our ongoing investigation. So, as the judge noted, this is a coast-to-coast investigation being led right here in Washington, D.C., and this subject definitely did pick the wrong country. And we will rise together as a nation to show the world what we do. And we are thankful that we have the Attorney General's brave leadership and President Trump's brave leadership and priorities to safeguard our communities. I also spoke to Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, last night, and Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. That is what a broad-based international terrorism investigation looks like. We will provide continuous details to the American public while at the same time not jeopardizing the ongoing prosecution to ultimately hold this perpetrator accountable in our courts of law. We will provide as much transparency as possible, but as you can see, the breadth and scope of this investigation will continue. We will continue to hit the streets and hit every town and every house and talk to every witness. The men and women of the FBI and the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, to include the Department of Homeland Security, DEA, and ATF, are working tirelessly on this Thanksgiving Day. And I know just by talking to the leaders behind me that instead of going on and being with their families, everyone rogered up and showed up to work today. And none of them want to go home. That's the resolve that we have together as a team to bring to you justice for heinous act of terrorism here in our nation's capital. And as the judge said, we will ensure that our law enforcement partners are out there in full force to make sure the world can enjoy our nation's capital. We will not let this heinous act of violence prevent people from visiting our beautiful nation's capital. And we will also continue to highlight any evidence that we can publicly. And as the judge said, this individual is in this country for one reason and one reason alone, because of the disastrous withdrawal from the Biden administration and the failure to vet anyway, in any way, shape, or form, this individual and countless others. And this administration has taken the rightful step to stop any further allowance of people with this similar background into the country. And we're thankful for that. And as I said, this investigation remains ongoing. And I think I'll turn it over to General Blanchard of the National Guard now. Thank you.
All across America this morning, families are waking up. They'll spend the day with their children, their brothers, sisters, husbands, wives.
I think one of the things that's really interesting about this is how conservatives have absolutely no ability to evaluate reality, and they just have to do these fucking like what's the best way of putting it? Threat displays. It's like watching a gorilla beat its chest. This is the consequence of our previous conservative chest pounding. And there's no like, well, you know, maybe we shouldn't support death squads. I don't know. I think maybe the death squad supporting is a bad idea.
Friends from across the community. There will be the smell of turkey, all the fixings. They'll watch parades, football games. They'll pray together. They'll talk about what they're grateful for. This morning, there are two families that will not have that opportunity. Andy and Sarah's families, they're spending the day reflecting on the past, and in the days coming, they'll reflect on and think about what could have been, what might be, because regardless of the outcome, we know that their lives, their families' lives are all changed forever because one person decided to do this horrific and evil thing. And all across America, we are also reminded that there are many law enforcement agents, first responders, soldiers, service members all around the world who at best will come home, eat some cold turkey, open up Tupperware, eat what's left over, because they spent the day defending the American ideals, getting out there and getting after it on every American citizen's behalf. I will say that the District of Columbia National Guard, this task force, is more committed this morning to the president's directive to make D.C. safe and beautiful. Our resolve will be tested. It is being tested, but make no mistake. Each and every one of these soldiers and airmen will meet and exceed the expectation that we have for them. They are, in fact, America's best. I'm proud of each and every one of them. I pray for each and every one of them today, and in particular for these two young service members who are willing to go above and beyond and pay whatever price our nation asks of them. I ask every American today to keep them in their thoughts and prayers as you go about your day. Thank you.
Okay, the voice there of Brigadier General Leland Blanchard of the National Guard speaking at a press conference this morning about the shooting of 2 National Guard members who are currently still in critical condition in local hospitals. We heard also from the U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro. She was able to tell us that the suspect, who is Ramanullah Lakhanwal, 29 years old, Afghan, entered the U.S. back in 2021 under what was then known as Operation Allies Welcome. Pirro said that he used a Smith & Wesson .357 revolver. Those are the allegations as it stands right now. We also heard from FBI Director Kash Patel. He was able to tell us that he was going to be, that the lab right now is looking at the gun in that case. And we're going to turn now to some of the questions that Patel is receiving about the investigation.
Up in San Diego, where interviews were conducted and are going to be continued to be conducted, and we will go anywhere in the country or the world where the evidence leads us.
Are there accomplices, relationships in San Diego you can talk about?
All of that is an ongoing.
Give an update as far as Sarah and Andrew, who were injured. You say critical condition. Can you give anything beyond that? Are they expected to make it? Is it touch and go? Can you tell us a little more about how they're doing?
It is Sarah Beckstrom, Beckstrom, and Andrew Wolf with an E, Wolf. Okay, and Sarah Beckstrom, S with an H. Now, with respect to their medical condition, as I said, they are receiving the finest medical care. Their families are with them now. They are critical. I think you understand the meaning of that. It's not clear how this is going to end up. But let me be perfectly clear about how it will end up in this off. One of them is to pass, and God forbid that happens. This is a murder one. Period. End of the story. We are praying on a day like today when families come together in America and they hold hands around the Thanksgiving table. I beg you, I beseech you to pray for these 2 young people that they survive. I think that's it.
Thank you, everybody.
All righty. That was useless.
An act of terror. That's what the president is calling an assault on 2 National Guardsmen in the nation's capital. So the 2 soldiers remain in critical condition this morning after police say they were both shot at point-blank range, just blocks away from the White House.
We saw one National Guardsman being wheeled out on a stretcher, and he had a device helping pump his heart, it looked like, doing automatic CPR, and his face was covered in blood.
The 29-year-old suspect was tackled at the scene after a brief exchange of gunfire. Law enforcement say he came to the U.S. from Afghanistan about 4 years ago. In response, the president vows to crack down on immigration even further.
We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them.
We've got CNN senior White House reporter Betsy Klein here now.
So in other words, thought crime. Thought crime. Insane.
Betsy, we heard the president basically condemning this as an act of terror, but also expanding his concerns to immigration more broadly. I think he brought up Somalia at one point. Can you talk about what the plans are out of the White House?
Right, Audie, just a really horrific day here in Washington, and the Department of Homeland Security has identified Ramanullah Lakhanwal as the suspect in the shooting of these 2 National Guardsmen. Lakhanwal is an Afghan national. He came to the United States in 2021 under Operation Allies Welcome. To remind you, that's the Biden-era program that resettled those Afghan nationals in the wake of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. He applied for asylum in 2024, and it was granted by the Trump administration in April of this year. He is in custody at an area hospital after being shot. Now, one source tells CNN that this suspect is not cooperating with investigators. We still do not know the motive. We do not know how the suspect got this handgun that he used. We also do not know the full extent of the suspect's injuries at this time. But we do expect to hear more on where this investigation stands from D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro, as well as FBI Director Kash Patel a little later this morning. President Trump, meanwhile, addressing the nation from Mar-a-Lago last night, he cast blame on the Biden administration for letting the suspect into the country. He called for the re-examination of every person who entered the U.S. from Afghanistan during the last administration. Of course, CNN had reported earlier this week that that process was already underway. Listen to the president.
The suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021. This attack underscores the single greatest national security threat facing our nation. The last administration let in 20 million unknown and unvetted foreigners from all over the world, from places that you don't want to even know about.
Now, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services have announced moments later that all Afghan immigrant cases are stopping indefinitely, pending further review. And I also just want to remind you why these West Virginia Guardsmen were here. They have been deployed in Washington since August as part of the president's crime crackdown. That is expected to continue until at least February. President Trump also announced he would be deploying 500 more National Guards members to Washington, D.C. in response to this horrific.
We approved one of our biggest death squad members. He was really helping us kill a lot of innocent children, and he was super loyal to the CIA. And then he helped a lot of Americans escape when the Taliban took over. And can you believe it? With absolutely no indication he was supporting any enemy, he was brought to the United States because of his loyalty. Can you imagine repaying loyalty? I would never do that. My name is Donald Trump. My personal reaction to this is like, you have death squads. We are supporting death squads. Instead of going, I can't believe Afghan migrants help the U.S., how about you go and prosecute all the CIA officials involved with the death squads? Why don't you go show some remorse for the crimes we committed in our failed war?
Okay, Betsy, thanks so much for that update. I'm going to turn a little bit to the investigation. The FBI is going to be spearheading it, and it's being called an attack on federal law enforcement. So we've got CNN law enforcement analyst Jonathan Wackrow here now to talk about how this will unfold. Jonathan, thanks for being here with us this morning. I want to start with what they're going to be looking for from the suspect. As we mentioned, they're an Afghan national and believed to have come in under one of the various asylum programs, which did include vetting. So there's documentation, right, to go and look and learn about this suspect.
Yes. Good morning, Audie. Yes, the suspect came to the United States in 21, and that's the starting point for investigators, right? Like understanding, what happened during that vetting process, how detailed and what was the rigor of the information that they were reviewing at that time. But just the fact that he came in under the U.S. seeking U.S. asylum in 21, it's a relevant fact, but it's actually not the motive. Right now, what investigators are trying to do is actually ask a couple key questions. Most notably, was this a symbolic targeting of the military or some sort of anti-government movement, or was this just rooted in some type of personal grievance? And the way that they're going to do that is the same way that they take any type of shooting situation, is they work backwards. They start looking at all known associates, family members. They start doing a digital trace and looking, combing through the digital exhaust of this individual. Was he connected to other people who had or exhibited animus towards, the United States? Was this part of some sort of ideological movement? Again, that's where we may see a nexus to terrorism. We have not seen that yet, and we have not intimated that that is the case, but that is what investigators are looking for. And they're going to look through this link analysis of these associates and contacts to really piece together this mosaic of data to come to a determination of what is the motive. Now, we know that the suspect is not cooperating, but there are a lot of investigative tools and techniques that are at.
Wow, I wonder what his motive is. This guy used to be a death squad member for the CIA. I wonder what his motive was. This is really hard. We've got these crack law enforcement analysts on the case. Thank you for all the insight, CNN. Really doing good journalism.
The FBI's disposal to get to directionally what that motive may be.
The Trump administration now ordering another 500 National Guardsmen into the city. One thing we've been looking at today is that in the legal challenge process, there was a National Guard memo that had revealed some concerns about the deployment that commanders originally had, where they were basically saying this mission is kind of an opportunity for criminals or violent extremists or lone actors to advance their interests. They were saying that the Guardsmen themselves are sort of high visible and potential targets. Can you talk about that from a law enforcement perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I had mentioned this yesterday in the aftermath of the tragic incident, but right now we've seen a shift. And what I said is that, I believe that we've hit the point of marginal utility, especially in Washington, D.C., with the benefit of the National Guard. And what I mean by that is, they are on site to provide a visual deterrent, to show that visible force of surging law enforcement within the National Capital Region. But now it has shifted. We've heard from government officials say that these guardsmen were targeted directly. If that is the case, adding 500 more to the area just increases the potential targeting of these National Guard members. You do have to address this crime and broader criminal acts throughout the area. I'd rather see more law enforcement than more soldiers put at risk in a mission that may be a little bit undefined for them.
Okay, Jonathan.
What do you need law enforcement for? So they can stand around? Like, what the fuck are you even saying? I'm trying to raise my chair, and it's like not cooperating. Can we watch Red Dawn for Discord? Movie not. Why the fuck would we want to watch that? Live updates. She has a mortal wound. Father of National Guard member says. He said his daughter, one of the two Guard members in critical condition after being shot near the White House, was not expected to recover. Oh, wow. The suspect was part of a CIA-backed unit in Afghanistan before coming to the United States. Jesus. The suspect used a .357 revolver, and he got 2 guardsmen? The injured soldiers were identified as Andrew Wolf, 24, and Sarah Beckstrom, 20, members of West Virginia's National Guard. Miss Beckstrom's father said in a brief interview that she had a mortal wound and was unlikely to survive. A man who answered the phone at Mr. Wolf's home asked for prayers for my son, who would not speak further. Ms. Pirro said that the suspect will be charged with 3 counts of assault with intent to kill, but if either of the Guard members did not survive, he would be charged with first-degree murder. Ms. Pirro identified the suspect, who was also badly wounded and taken into custody on Wednesday, Ramola Lockenwall. We already talked about that. Trump framed the shooting as an act of terror, vowing to redouble his mass deportation efforts. The CIA history, the accused gunman has been part of an Afghan partner force, which were known as Zero Units, Afghan paramilitary forces trained to target the Taliban and were accused of widespread killings of civilians. Now, I'm not a person that likes to shout CONINTELPRO or false flag, but like, come the fuck on, man. What can he even say? What can he even say? Why is Alex Jones posting AI photos of himself with various women? Why is Alex Jones posting various AI photos of him with women? Why does the turkey platter have a platter? It kind of looks like it's a handle here, but then it looks like a plate underneath. Like it doesn't look like a handle on this side. God, he's such a fucking creep. I think Sydney Sweetie deserved a lot of the backlash from her very cringe jeans ad and the way she responded to it. But this is like this is where you get to the point where it's slander. Like honestly. And again, she should sue his ass. Nah, fuck her. I mean, one of the things I find funny is the way that people will make excuses for their faves. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a Sydney Sweetie fan in any way, but like the way people are willing to make a lot of excuses for their faves. And there's a lot of people I could name right now. The chat would be in revolt, but I'd be right. You know what I mean? Do it? Nah, I'm good. I've learned my lesson. Sometimes you got to pick your battles. I suspect she is a byproduct of Hollywood abuse for all the shit she had to do. I don't know. She seems very weird and right wing. Look at the beer can in the photo. Oh, I closed it, dude. Why is there a stuffed monkey with bananas in the background? Bud, Revolutionary Thought released a video you'd like, Mike. Probably true. I should check it out. They seem cool. Oh my God, chat. Vio is here to deliver a charcuterie plate. Take this fork because I'm gonna whack it into my microphone. Look at this. Oh my lord. We've got little shapes of the cheese. Oh, ooh. The charcuterie board. Ah, that's all I wanted from Thanksgiving, really. The shark coochie. The white people, the adult Lunchables. Mike, do you want a mold?
Is the United...
This seems mediocre, bro. Like, it's not important enough for me to mention. Guys, I'm sure you see very annoying, like, liberals on your For You pages with videos that have, like, 10 likes. But showing it to me is absolutely the worst thing you could do. And I want to explain something to you called negative polarization. The reason why is because I am a well-known person. If I attack someone, they will get solidarity from my enemies. It's not useful for me to target incredibly small liberal creators because it will end up helping them. You should show me shit that already has motion so that I can fuck it up. You shouldn't show me incredibly small creators because you're going to give them motion they shouldn't have. And I know that sounds annoying, but it is the case. That's how social media works. Because unfortunately, I have parasocial haters who are not really interested in any like ideas or points. They're just there to yell because I'm involved. If that makes sense. Am I wrong for feeling sympathy for the shooter? He was a child soldier who was put into a position where he had no real option but to work with the CIA and left to a country that hates him and people like him with no one. I mean, I'm not sympathetic for a murderer. And I also, you know, just pragmatically, I can't be seen as supporting violence. I can't be seen as supporting extrajudicial violence. It's just literally not legally allowed for me. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of all speech online. Is there is a terms of service. Okay, so I would never support violence because that is a direct violation of the terms of service of the website. So I don't even accept your premise. I disavow violence. Okay, and so. And excuse me, I said unfortunately, I meant fortunately there's a terms of service. Fortunately, there's a terms of service. Sorry, I misspoke. It's a good thing that we're not allowed to promote violence on this platform. So I would never use the term sympathetic. I'm not sympathetic to the violence, but I understand it. I could see the motivation. Child soldier, CIA, murdered civilians, country was abandoned. He's hated. There's all sorts of bigotry against him because of his religion. He helped America and committed some of America's most dark and black crimes. You can see why a person like that would snap. You can see why this violence occurred. It's not hard to predict.
Jonathan Wackrow, thanks so much.
All right. I wanted to cover. We're gonna keep our eye out for more developments on the CIA death squad member. But I wanted to cover something that is some Chinese coverage and our favorite American Empire propaganda channel, Task and Purpose. And honestly, and I mean that as a compliment, I think Task and Purpose is probably one of the more effective American propaganda YouTube channels. I think he's very personable. I think he tries to be a little bit more fair. It's not such blatant propaganda. He at least tries to be fair a little bit. But I would say Task and Purpose is a really good, really good propaganda channel. There's not that many really good pro-America propaganda channels. He's probably one of the better ones.
China's aircraft carrier program used to be the punchline of naval power. For years, the People's Liberation Army Navy, or PLAN, operated a single refurbished Soviet hull and called it a carrier. Analysts in Washington and London mocked it, US sailors joked about it, and even within China, there was a quiet understanding that the Liaoning was mostly a training ship with a political purpose. But that era is over. China hasn't just built a real carrier, it has now commissioned the Type 3 class Fujian, the first non-US aircraft carrier in the world equipped with electromagnetic catapults. These are technically similar to what the US Navy uses on the cutting-edge Ford class.
But they're better.
And while that alone would have been the biggest planned story of the decade, something even bigger is taking shape. China appears to be building a nuclear-powered supercarrier in its Type 4 class. Satellite images from the Jingnan shipyard reveal reveal hull blocks that match reactor compartment geometry, far larger than anything we've seen on the Fujian. It's the strongest evidence yet that China intends to join the United States and France as the only countries on Earth operating nuclear-powered carriers today. And that's not even all. There's also the Type 76 amphibious assault ship with an electromagnetic catapult that opens up a whole new world to China. Welcome back to Task and Purpose. I'm Kyle, and in this episode we're going to break down the rise of China's carrier fleet ship by ship, what these carriers can actually do, what they can't do, what the US Navy is actually worried about or should be, and how China's unique mix of manned carriers, nuclear propulsion, drone platforms, and emerging amphibious assault ships could reshape war at sea. But first, let's talk about D-brand phone cases. Now, usually when we get a sponsor, they send us talk.
Did they say that it has an amphibious aircraft carrier? No. Not true, my food. It's a good question. Basically, we no longer use the term light carrier anymore. The Americans started using this phrase amphibious assault ship to describe a light carrier. And so now, basically a few different types of carriers, right? Aircraft carriers. So there's fleet carriers. Those are the ones you know of. And then there are light carriers, which we call amphibious assault ships. Now, light carriers usually have some sort of like VTOL jets and helicopters. And they're typically, used to support amphibious operations close to the shore. So that's why we call them amphibious assault ships. Not because they actually like land and go ashore or anything. It's just they are typically used closer to land, whereas fleet carriers sail across. They're used in the high seas. Basically, it's a slightly shined up version of light carrier, because who wants to be working on the light carrier, right? You don't want to be on the light carrier.
Talking points, and I'll write up a script. We'll send it to them. They'll approve it, and I'll record it. D-brand, they sent us this. So they sent their new tank case for the iPhone 17. Thank you, and thank you to D-brand for sponsoring this episode. If you go back to the early 2000s, China's Navy looked nothing like the one we see today. They had no aircraft carriers, only a handful of aging destroyers, and a submarine force built around noisy diesel boats. Most of the fleet stayed close to shore, exercises were tightly scripted, and the plan had almost no ability to sustain operations beyond the first island chain, a strategic line of small islands and archipelagos off the East Asian continent. It was a coastal defense navy with limited reach and even less experience. The idea that it would one day field multiple supercarriers would have sounded ridiculous. The big strategic question was whether China actually needed aircraft carriers. The official line was that China was focused on offshore defense, basically controlling the waters near its coast, and you don't really need carriers for that. But that doctrine quietly changed. Carriers serve multiple purposes in China's current strategy. Politically, they're symbols. A nation that wants to be perceived as a global maritime power shows up with carriers. Strategically, they help China extend its defensive perimeter by pushing the contested space farther from China's coastline and the first island chain that the US seeks to control, in many ways to keep China close to its own shores. Institutionally, they provide the training ground needed to develop naval aviators, deck crews, maintenance culture, and the operational experience that only comes from years at sea. This is where China's new carrier story begins. China's first carrier, the Liaoning, started life in the Soviet Union as the Kuznetsov-class Riga that was commissioned in 1998 and then renamed Varyag in 1990. China bought the unfinished hull from Ukraine in the late 1990s, towed it halfway around the world, and then spent nearly a decade rebuilding it. When it finally entered service, it wasn't a super carrier. It is what is called a stow-bar carrier, and that's short takeoff but arrested recovery. The other variation is CATOBAR, or Catapult Assisted Takeoff Barrier Arrested Recovery, like US carriers. It couldn't launch heavy aircraft because it had a ski jump instead of catapults, which meant no full-sized airborne early warning aircraft, no heavy strike loads, and limited sortie rates. But Liaoning had enormous value because it taught the plan how to do carrier aviation. Military aviation is already pretty complicated when you're operating from smooth, level, long runways that will always be in the same place. Add in a rolling, pitching, constantly moving short runway on the water, and things start to look impossible. Nothing has demonstrated more effectively how difficult carrier aviation is than the 1987 Nintendo video game Top Gun.
This is such boomer bait. This is such boomer bait. As somebody who played this game, come on.
Top Gun, the video game. This is your dream shot.
Even with all of our fancy stuff and upgraded graphics, landing on a carrier is still considered among the most difficult tasks in all of aviation. Then came the Shandong of the Type 2 class, China's first domestically built carrier. Despite being new, launching in just 2017, it was still STOBAR with the same limitations. Shandong was a refinement, not really a revolution. For years, these two carriers served primarily as training platforms, conducting short deployments, pilot qualifications, and scripted exercises near shore. Western analysts dismissed them as publicity ships, and in a combat sense, that wasn't entirely wrong. Two carriers that can't even launch a fully loaded plane are light work for a carrier strike group loaded with dozens of combat aircraft, guided missile destroyers, and an attack submarine. But the plan wasn't trying to match the US Navy in 2018. It was trying to build the foundation for serious naval aviation into the 2030s. That foundation has led us directly to the ship that changed everything. In November 2025, China commissioned the Type 3 Fujian carrier. The ceremony had everybody who is anybody in China in attendance, and Chinese President Xi Jinping personally pressed the launch button inside the Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch System, or EMALS, control station, a symbolic gesture that they broadcast very proudly across state media. Fujian is totally different from Liaoning and Shandong. It displaces about 80,000 tons, approaching the size of American supercarriers like the Ford or Nimitz class that come in around 100,000 tons. It has a flat deck and 3 electromagnetic catapults, making it catobar, and for comparison, the Ford class has 4. The only other country that currently operates a catobar carrier is France with its Charles de Gaulle, which was launched in 2001. Catapults, especially EMALS or EMALS, I've only ever read it, unlock an entirely different category of naval aviation. Besides being able to launch combat aircraft with a full complement of weapons and fuel, the Fujian can now launch the KJ-600, a fixed-wing airborne early warning aircraft comparable in concept to the American E-2 Hawkeye. STOBAR carriers can't really launch aircraft like this because the larger aircraft just can't get fast enough to fly off the deck. Being able to launch the KJ-600 means Fujian's radar coverage and air control capabilities are now exponentially better, and it also ushers in true over-the-horizon capabilities. The catapults also mean increased sortie rates. This has...
See, Chad, isn't it funny to see what the Chinese Communist Party is recognizing as necessary to challenge the United States military? Think about the complexity of what we're looking at. Think about how difficult this is to actually coordinate and deliver. And you have your neighborhood anarchist, and they're like, I'm gonna take down this fucking fascist state one Molotov cocktail at a time. And it's like,
always been a critical factor in carrier aviation. During the knockdown, drag-out fights in the Pacific in World War II between the Japanese and US and Allied ships, if you could get more aircraft into the air quicker than your enemy, you'd have an incredible advantage. And not much has changed today. And speaking of combat aircraft that can be launched off the catapult, China has 2 that are carrier capable. First is the J-15 Flying Shark. This is a twin-engine 4.5 generation multi-role fighter introduced in 2013. It is reported to be based on the reverse engineering of a Russian Su-33 and can fire the newer PL-10 and PL-15 air-to-air missiles, and even has the ability to refuel other aircraft in flight. Replacing the J-15 will be the J-35 stealth fighter. This is also a twin-engine multi-role fighter, but it is based on the FC-31 demonstrator and is considered to be 5th generation like the F-22 and F-35. It was only introduced as the J-35 back in September of 2025 and is the 2nd stealth jet, along with the J-20, that China has in its arsenal. Like the US F-35, its electronic warfare suite supports advanced sensors, possible future directed energy systems, and can work alongside large, uncrewed aircraft allegedly. Then there's the GJ-11 Sharp Sword, China's stealthy, uncrewed combat aircraft. This is a flying wing UCAV with internal weapons bays, radar evading shaping, and endurance that far exceeds any manned carrier jet in China's inventory. It first appeared in prototype form around 2013, but only in the last few years has it shown up in configurations suggesting carrier integration. The GJ-11 is designed for deep strike missions, electronic attack, and high-risk ISR runs, the kind of missions you normally wouldn't want to send a pilot on. And because it's uncrewed, it can be smaller, cheaper, and more expendable than a manned fighter, making it a natural partner for the J-35 in a future loyal wingman or strike swarm role, allegedly. However, as the US has learned through its own trials and tribulations, EMALS is complicated. The US Navy struggled for years with the Ford...
Struggled? They still can't launch the F-35. What are you talking about? What do you mean struggled? They still can't do it.
Class as engineers work through launch reliability, power fluctuations, and maintenance burdens. China claims rapid success, as they most always do, but the real test will be whether the Fujian can produce sustained sortie rates comparable to a US carrier. Even with EMALS, China still lacks the decades of experience required to run high-tempo deck operations. We will discuss more of the possible pitfalls facing China towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. Fujian is a turning point, but the plan's ambitions extend even farther into the realm of nuclear reactors and true long-range capabilities, so let's discuss those now.
Do you think that China's peacefulness will be a hindrance if the US ever were to start a war with them? Will the lack of experience matter? No. The United States doesn't have real experience. The United States has not fought a peer country in a war since they fought China in the Korean War. And they got their ass kicked. And that was China right after it fought a brutal civil war and it was still extremely poor. So China, while also being rich, in China, while also having, 30 times the productive capability, the United States could not fight and beat China, short of using nuclear weapons. So it's already over. If you study war, you will find logistics, you will find manpower, you will find will to be the main factors of a country's success. In every area, China is some way advantage over the US in any kind of conflict. First of all, China would be fighting very close to their own country. Americans would be fighting thousands and thousands and thousands of miles across the globe. If you see your own cities and country being bombed, you're going to be pissed and you're going to fight 10 times harder than being the aggressor. And the thing about America is, since we haven't fought another near-peer country, our soldiers have not learned what it's like when you don't have air superiority, when artillery is raining on you, when bombs are dropping on you, when tanks are shooting at you. Our troops don't have experience with that. They have experience of, oh, I'm getting in trouble, and the A-10 is loitering above, and, the C-130 gunship is hot, and drones, and they're used to having massive qualitative superiority. That will not happen in a war with China. And so all this supposed experience America has is basically like, I'll give you an example of what it's like. This is the best analogy. It's like imagining two heavyweight boxers and they're about to fight. And then you say, well, boxer A, he had a little brother he used to bully. That is not going to be experience for a heavyweight professional bout. And that's the equivalent experience for the American military. They used to bully guys with sandals and rusty AK-47s, and they lost anyway. We do not want to fight a war
in
with
November,
China.
Satellite imagery from the Jingnan shipyard revealed features that OSINT types and our friends at the war zone say are consistent with nuclear reactor compartments. These sections are significantly larger than those seen on the Fujian, suggesting a new carrier class entirely. If Type 4 is nuclear powered, China is taking a leap that only the United States and France have sustained in operating nuclear carriers. Nuclear propulsion gives a ship practically unlimited range and the ability to sustain high speeds, crucial for generating wind over deck conditions and maximizing sortie rates. It also provides enormous electrical power for electromagnetic catapults, advanced radar arrays, and future systems such as directed energy weapons. A nuclear carrier would allow China to deploy a carrier strike group much farther from home and for much longer periods. This could mean deeper forays into the Indian Ocean, or to the Persian Gulf, or even a complete circumnavigation of the globe. But China has never operated nuclear-powered surface ships, and this isn't something you can screw up. Yes, they have nuclear-powered submarines, but those reactors are smaller and operating under much different conditions. A nuclear carrier requires a...
The cope on here is so funny. There is no country in the world that is now able to build nuclear reactors better than China. That's another area that they've now completely taken the lead on. There's more nuclear engineers being trained and who have experience building new reactors than China. They're building like 40 new reactors right now. We're building 2. And they have another 110 planned. Like, no, this is cope.
Disciplined maintenance culture, highly trained engineering teams, and decades of refinement. Type 4 represents possibly an enormous institutional leap. If China succeeds, it will finally have a true blue water carrier capability that rivals the United States. And this might not even be the biggest thing the United States has to worry about, so let's start talking about the Type 76. China is also rapidly developing the Type 76, one of the largest amphibious assault ships out there that looks like a conceptual cousin to the Marine Corps' Lightning carrier idea, but taken a step further. It's pretty close to being done, and it recently began its first sea trials. The US Lightning carrier, which we've discussed in a previous video, is a concept that imagines packing 16 to 20 F-35Bs onto an America-class or Wasp-class amphib and using it as a budget-like carrier. It's clever, but it still relies on short takeoff man jets, and the ship wasn't designed from the keel up for that type of mission. In typical Marine fashion, they're just making it work. But the Type 76 is different. It appears to be the first amphibious assault ship built from scratch around the idea of launching uncrewed combat aircraft. Imagery suggests that it has an electromagnetic catapult specifically sized for UAVs. That means it wouldn't be limited to short takeoff vertical landing aircraft or helicopters. It could put fixed-wing drones into the air with real payloads, real range, and real persistence. In other words, where the Lightning carrier is a creative workaround, the Type 76 is a purpose-built solution. It merges the troop-carrying vehicle hauling role of an LHD with the flight operations of a light carrier and the mass launch potential of a drone mothership. In a Taiwan scenario, this...
Well, you are witnessing the moment that socialism is surpassing capitalism.
Hybrid design becomes especially important. A ship like the Type 76 could provide continuous ISR over the strait, jam Taiwanese or US sensors, hunt naval targets with UCAVs, or conduct persistent strike operations on land, all while keeping manned aircraft farther back under the protection of land-based air power. It essentially gives China a way to push air power forward without risking its most valuable pilots or jets. It also suggests that China isn't simply copying American concepts, it's trying to leap ahead of them, and it seems to be working. China could become the first nation to operate manned supercarriers, nuclear carriers, and drone carriers together. And they could also be building mini carriers as well. Imagery and broadcasts have shown a ship that bears a striking resemblance to what many might call a drone carrier, just much smaller. Some speculate that it is a test vessel used for trials on drones or other aircraft, or that maybe it was a concept the plan decided to abandon. If it is, in fact, a mini drone carrier, it would fit perfectly into China's layered anti-access area denial strategy. In today's environment, strength in numbers is a big deal. The goal isn't necessarily to smash an opponent into submission with a giant hammer, but to hit them with thousands of small hammers. A cute little boat that can launch and recover drones far ahead of a valuable fleet isn't the worst idea. Navy, now is a good time to make some major progress with our own drone boats.
So in other words, we better start copying China. They're good. Now, this is one of the reasons why I watch stuff like this and I read stuff like this is if you're going to be a socialist, if you're going to be someone who's seriously talking about foreign policy, or you should know it. And yes, you can go a long way by just saying America bad. That could guide you in a lot of circumstance. But America bad is not really a thought, more of an orientation toward the world. And I don't want America bad to be true. It just is true based on what the details and facts are currently. I don't harbor animus. My emotions and my opinions are based on the facts. And if the facts change, so be it. And I'm constantly trying to be aware of what the facts are. I think if I had one piece of advice for people that are trying to get better at understanding the world and politics in general, it would be stop coping. You know what cope looks like. Do I have a Beely account? Bibly? It's Bibly, or is it Beely, or is it Bibly? How do you say this? Billy? Okay. Billy. Okay, good.
Notes. Understanding China's carriers requires abandoning the idea that Beijing is trying to replicate U.S. Navy doctrine. The U.S. Navy builds carriers to project power worldwide, often alone across vast distances. China seems to be building carriers to operate inside a fortified sphere of land-based missiles, drones, aircraft, and sensor networks. China's carriers, at least for now, are meant to control the near seas.
Okay, in other words, China's military is defensive in nature, and the American military is an imperialist crusader army. Sounds about right.
Support a blockade of Taiwan, and gradually extend influence into the Indian and Pacific Oceans. They operate as part of a layered system that includes DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles, long-range bombers, submarines, surface combatants, and an expanding constellation of satellites and drones. Several developments deserve...
Did you guys catch that? What were they saluting, chat? This is not the flag China, the country. This is the flag of communism.
And an expanding constellation of satellites and drones. Several developments deserve real attention. The combination of J-35 fighters and KJ-600 early warning aircraft gives China a credible carrier air wing. The expansion of the Naval Aviator Pipeline suggests China is serious about learning high-tempo operations. A nuclear carrier would allow China to sustain deployments far from home, changing the strategic balance in the Indian Ocean and elsewhere. And China's rapid progress in naval drones could allow it to field a fleet-level unmanned system far sooner than the US. We have a tendency here in the United States to simultaneously dismiss Chinese military progress while also making it out to be a giant, unbeatable threat. The truth is probably in the middle of the two. The speed at which they've built these ships is remarkable, especially as the US struggles to build really any ships. But this could also be creating long-term problems in reliability that haven't yet been revealed, as we see in other massive projects in China.
One of the greatest lessons I ever learned was from a chess master, and he said this statement, and it stuck with me. And I occasionally repeat it. But what he said to me is, whenever you are playing in a competitive situation, don't ever play hope chess. And I was like, what does playing hope chess mean? And he means never make a move hoping that your opponent makes a mistake. Never make a move dependent upon your opponent bungling or being an idiot or fucking up. Sometimes they will do that. And when they do, thank your lucky stars and take advantage. But if you play hope chess, or if you play moves premised upon the opponent not seeing what you're trying to do, you will lose. You should be playing both sides of the board, and you should be assuming that your opponent is going to make the best possible response to everything you do. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is cope. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is a sign of a country that is defeated, and it is playing hope chess. They're hoping that all these new ships must have reliability problems because they're building them so much faster than we can. But that's not based on anything. That's just hope. That is just hope.
China, like infrastructure, those often look great on the surface, and then they fall apart years later. Carrier operations are also incredibly difficult to pull off, and the US has decades of experience in this realm. Making a survivable vessel is also really complicated, and the US has learned these lessons from combat, but also in extensive sink tests. The last time that we tried to sink one of our own carriers was in 2005, and it was damn near impossible. For 4 weeks, we pounded the USS America, which was retired in 1996, with a whole bunch of different weapons and explosives. To be fair, the goal wasn't really to sink it right away, but to hit certain spots and see what we can learn about building a more survivable ship. Still, even after 4 weeks and hitting it with so many explosives, just so many explosives, we had to board the vessel and plant explosives to scuttle it. Lessons learned from these exercises are rolled into new ships like USS Gerald R. Ford, making them even more survivable, more resilient, and just all but, impossible to sink. And as we mentioned before,
This is the American Navy.
I don't see what all the fuss is about. It doesn't look any bigger than the Mauritania.
You could be blasé about some things, Rose, but not about Titanic. It's over 100 feet longer than Mauritania, and far more luxurious. Your daughter is far too difficult to impress, Ruth.
So this is the ship they say is unsinkable.
It is unsinkable.
Sir.
God himself could not sink this ship.
You have to check your baggage through the main terminal.
is to scuttle it. Lessons learned from these exercises are rolled into new ships like USS Gerald R. Ford, making them even more survivable, more resilient, and just all but, impossible to sink. And as we mentioned before, it takes a lot of training to make carrier operations effective. Launching hundreds of sorties over the course of a few days is not an easy task, but it is something the US Navy does fairly regularly. This is only because we have decades of training and lessons learned that have accumulated to today. Still, we would be fools to dismiss China's carrier fleet, which is rapidly becoming a force to be reckoned with. So let us know what you think in the comments, and by all means argue with the countless bots that will find this video and talk about how China is #1 and all that stuff. I like to think in this one we were pretty fair to China because what they're doing is kind of remarkable, and we should probably start paying close attention and make that shipbuilding stuff a little more serious. But anyways, leave your comments on what you think. I wrote the script and Savvy edited the video, and now it's channel update time, where in the past few weeks I've given out my email. It's kyle.gunn@taskandpurpose.com for any service members or really anybody that over the holiday season might hit a wall, get a little low, maybe you're stuck in the barracks and it sucks because you're on duty, or maybe you went back home and you realize it kind of sucks because you changed a little bit and your high school friends suck. Anyways, if you find yourself low during the holidays, shoot me an email, reach out to me, and we'll work it out together. All right. Other than that, hit up the store. It's store.taskandpurpose.com. You can buy this.
Dude, they're doing like anti-suicide PSAs. They're like, please email us. China's supercarriers are not about Taiwan. They're about keeping China's oil supply lines open in case the Malacca Straits are blocked, breaking embargoes against countries like Iran and Venezuela. I mean, I hope that's the case. I hope China is able to end the period of unilateral blockades. Excuse me. Okay, chat. Now it's time for us to have yet another good vibes video for Thanksgiving. This is for all of you that don't have conservative relatives, but you have the even more annoying reality of having an MSNBC, MSDNC liberal relative. I wouldn't wish that curse on anyone. The type of person who says, I agree with your goals, but we should wait for a more convenient season. It's too radical. It's too fast. I agree with you, and therefore I will never argue with you over anything of substance. I will just say I have an opinion about electability, which is unfalsifiable and no one can ever prove wrong because I didn't base it on anything real. I've just been tricked by MSNBC blather. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is by far and away the most annoying person to talk about with politics. Honestly, if I never talked to another liberal about politics again, I would be happy. They have absolutely nothing to add, and they are the most substanceless group of people. Conservatives at least try to argue a point or two, even if the point is dumb. Liberals will just be like, I agree on everything that matters, and then they will bring up shit that is unfalsifiable and pseudo-religious. And one of those things is that left-wing candidates can't win in purple areas or red areas. We need to go to the right. Support cutting taxes on the rich, throwing trans people and women under the bus, throwing immigrants under the bus, basically be Republican light. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a progressive candidate is running in a deep, deep red district. How's that working out?
Afton Bain amplified a post that said states which voted for President Trump, like Tennessee, were cousin states. She loathes you. She
My mother keeps arguing Mark Carty is not a neoliberal. He's the charge of the Liberal Party. It's in the name, ma'am. Autumn Alias's mom. It's in the name. It's the Liberal Party of Canada. It's not exactly they're not hiding it.
The race is a toss-up in a Trump 20 district. It's so over. There's some polls I already showed. I briefly looked at it earlier, but here it is. Tennessee 7th District poll. Matt Van Epps at 48% and Afton Bain at 46%. Other at 2%, 5% undecided. R plus 21 to R plus 2 is an insane swing. What an insane swing.
Good morning.
Just in, Tennessee's 7th Congressional District Special Election poll, according to Emerson, shows Afton Bain in striking distance. Tennessee resident here, everyone here sucks. I just don't I mean, I'm a hardcore leftist communist socialist, but I really have an intense crush on Bray Cooper. I can't help it. What do I do?
I kind of feel like it's some sort of then we have the hammer and sickle and bios shutting down the threat of people say people think like are bad because they're not fully Marxist. Oh, I mean, you have to understand something, chat. Being annoying gets you boosted in the algorithm. All right. So if somebody's like jumping in, have conversations where they're just like, oh, this is pointless and worthless, and who cares if a Republican wins? While Donald Trump is fucking doing a Gestapo ice. I mean, like, guys, come on. Let's be serious for a second. I mean, it's going to be so amazing. 8 to 10 years. And we have Medicare for all. And we have a Green New Deal and high-speed rails going up around the country. We're building social and public housing. College is free. Student debt has been wiped out. We are addressing climate change. The air is clearing up. Traffic is getting better. Public transit is improving. The homeless are off the streets. People are like, this sucks. I can't believe it. This sucks. Give us the homeless back. I want to have ICE agents on the streets again. It's like, come on, man. Can you stop? Can you please stop?
I don't know, chatter. Be less horny.
Everyone, State Representative Afton Bain, the 7th Congressional District Special Election Democratic nominee. It is cold, which is why my coat is so dramatic here in Nashville. But I woke up with the energy of 1,000 Dolly Partons and decided to go canvass because a new poll dropped showing us about 2 points behind my opponent, which is wild. And I've got the election excitement wiggles as I do. So I decided to jump out of bed, go out and canvass.
Afton is endorsed by the DSA and anti-Israel, by the way. I like mentioning this because people for some reason don't know this despite it making Tennessee news. It's because it's Tennessee, chatter. That's the reason why people don't know about it, because it's just one of those things that there's so much to pay attention to that sometimes people just like fall through the cracks. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when a situation like this happens and you have a real shot in a special election in a place like Tennessee, that also causes the opposing side not to focus as much on the race in general. Yeah, here's the Tennessee holler. On for 5 points out. Unsurprisingly, Matt Van Epps is backed by AIPAC. Afton Bain is not. This is the first time I'm covering her as well. Yes, like I'm admitting that this is like there are so many things that happen all the time around the country that it's like virtually impossible for me to be tuned in and locked in at any given moment.
Okay, this is something that I've said, and I want to say it again. Hassan and I are not the people that can organize the entire country's socialist movement and like turn non-political people into trade politicians. What we can do is get eyes on existing organizations and candidates that are beginning to get motion in their home areas and need like a little bit of extra money or a little bit of visibility, a little bit more volunteers. We could get that to you. We can push that. But if you're just completely disconnected from your community, if you have no activist background, if you have no, I can't make you into a candidate, right? Like I need you to do some of that work yourself and then bring me something that I can latch onto and boost up. And I want to encourage you to get involved in general, become that cadre. And when you have that, progress, that motion, then I can come in and help you. That's what we can do. And so this is an example of where we can help. She's 2 points down. We could give her more attention. We could give her more money. We could give her more volunteers. We could get people in Tennessee. They probably think they have no chance of ever doing anything good. Now you do. Hop in there. That's what we are outstanding at doing.
People forget, like, America is the size of Europe, dude. You know, it's the size of almost like a continent. So yeah, it's like sometimes it will literally be like, oh, as a French person, why aren't you covering the elections in Hungary? It's like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? It's just too big. It's too big, man. I don't know. I'll give you another example. It's like China, okay? Not as populated, but like, yeah, a special election in Tennessee, I wasn't paying attention to it. Her scandals are these 2 audios being pushed by the Republicans. Let's take a look at her big scandals. I hate the city. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all the things that make Nashville. I hate it.
Taverns. I hate involved with the Nashville mayoral race because I hate the city. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all of the things that make Nashville apparently an it city to the rest of the country. But
Wow. What a scandal. Arrest her. Pedal taverns are such a meme. As a Nashvilleian, all those takes are based as, I mean, saying I hate the bachelorettes. I don't even know. It's from a podcast from 2020. It's not a league. It's literally public. Yeah, but it's Oppo, right? The reason why they're resurfacing it is because they're saying that it's this person is not capable of being your elected representative, and I don't even know what a pedal tavern is, but it sounds whack as so.
Okay, first of all, how the fuck do you not know what a pedal tavern is? What the fuck is going on? Get out a little bit. You didn't wait. Weren't you on one at San Diego one time? I thought he was at one at San Diego one time. Or was it in Amsterdam? I just remember him.
Pedal tavern. Oh, dude, this. Oh, hell yeah. No, she needs to be. They need to make her the governor. Okay. They need to give her the district. They need to make her the mayor.
Those things are fucking cool as hell.
Simultaneously make her the
I love fun vehicles, chat. Can I say this? I'm a vehicle guy. I like fun little vehicles that are, I don't know why. It just scratches an itch for me. It's because because I'm a nomad and I wander around the world. Cute little vehicles are so fun.
Only person who's capable of being the mayor, the representative, and the governor at the same time. Didn't you go on one before stream? I did. It was a shameful moment. Okay, I did do that on stream. It was shameful. I did it in Amsterdam. Those things are whack as.
They're not whack. They're fun.
Okay.
Fuck.
Those things are shameful.
You were probably with a bunch of lazy people that were pedaling, and knowing the crew that you were hanging with, the answer is none of them were pedaling.
I hate the bachelorettes. Also a great take. I hate the pedal taverns. Good take. I hate country music. I also hate it, but you kind of can't say that.
Wait a minute. Come on. Who gives a fuck? First of all, she was exaggerating. Like, this is the world we live in now, where you can't ever just like make a state. Let's be honest. Can I be honest with you for a second? Sometimes we say shit and we don't fully commit to it, and we're using exaggeration, hyperbole, and then people take that and they go, this is their legitimate position. She was just expressing how she was probably tired of some touristy area being loud and annoying. Right? Like, she wasn't actually saying it. She was probably like, I'm tired of all the tourists in Nashville that are, but now everybody's like, oh, they all pretend to believe it's like her deeply held view that she despises country music. Like, get the fuck out of here with this nonsense.
You kind of can't say that in Nashville. I feel like, Tennessee is the one place where you can't really say that, but I don't think this is a significant line of attack.
yeah, I'm that girl at the airport that all these bachelorettes are giddy walking out in their two-toned colored Pantone pink shirts, and they walk out and they're like, oh my God, Nashville is so fabulous.
Yeah, this is just her shitting on the tourists.
Who gives a fuck? This makes me like her more. She sounds based as fuck. I stand a fellow excessively blunt queen. I realized something in my life chat that I am and I attract blunt people. I think I just like it. I just like when people say what they mean and mean what they say, or you know, and they don't sugarcoat shit. And sometimes I'll disagree. Sometimes I'll get my feelings hurt. Sometimes I might hurt their feelings. But as long as, you know, you have the ability of apologizing, clarifying, and you care about others, I'd rather have people that are a bit blunt and occasionally trot on my toes than people that lie to me or spare my feelings over something I need to know. If I'm doing something cringe, I want to know about it. If I'm doing something alienating, I want someone to tell me, because I'm dumb. I'll fucking not know. I won't pick up on the social cues. I like the authenticity. I like the truth teller.
That's it. Anyway, uncovered audio. We're going to go back to Afton Bain. We're back to the Afton Bain situation in Nashville, or not Nashville, in Tennessee. Tennessee Democrat Afton Bain, who once brought a transgender pastor to the Tennessee legislature, said it made her uncomfortable to see her colleagues pray. Yo, she's dope, dude. What is going on with this lady? Oh my God. She's anti-Israel. She's anti-genocide.
She's cool as
She's
fuck.
Anti-bachelorette parties in Nashville. She's anti-pedal bar, pedal tavern. She's awesome.
And I think, you know,
Ron
especially
Richard,
as
she's a Hassan head. She's a Hassan head. Somebody find her Twitch. I know she is. Let's find the Twitch. Or maybe we should wait till after the election.
someone who is more secular.
She's pro-trans. What?
I have a hard time when religion is at the core of everything.
The GOP supermajority here has taken over 15 years ago. As a practicing Christian myself, I hear zero bad takes here. Cancel her. She's against cousin marriage. To be fair, I voted against cousin marriage. Why y'all?
I just saw something on my stream, on my feed, that pisses me off so fucking much. It's about to derail the entire stream. I'm so fucking tired of the misogynists, man. I'm so tired of these fucking worm misogynists, dude. I swear to fucking God, dude. Please. Oh boy. I'm not gonna say it. Not gonna say it. I don't want to eat a ban. People smiles in the chat for me. People smiles in the chat. We've got to address it.
So he's with the Chinese. So he's with the Chinese government. Definitely honeypotted the fuck out of him. He's surrounded by like CCP agents who are all like young, beautiful women at all times, giving him gifts and shit and hyping him up. Literally, I'm not even kidding. It's crazy business. But
like
anyway.
this girl right here?
Yeah.
No. That's Carolyn Kwan.
No, it's not. It doesn't look like her. Oh, that is right. That is. But they're in all the clips you can see. Funny. Yeah. Didn't look like her. I know who she is. Dude, his head looks so small right now. Yeah, like it looks particularly tiny. I just put up on the phone. Oh, so he's with the Chinese government. Definitely honeypotted the fuck out of him. He's surrounded by like CCP.
He's such a misogynist racist that I legitimately.
But no, do you guys see that thing where Ethan Klein was saying that all the girls in the group for the China trip were honeypot Chinese spies? And we're there to like honeypot Hassan or like the men in the group, and that we're all Chinese spies. And I'm just like, bro, the most brain dead shit I've ever seen in my life. And it's like almost every woman in the group is American. That's insane. Yes, so deranged, so racist. I'm not even Chinese. Like, I'm Vietnamese, and I'm half white. And Caroline's half white too. And we're all American. So it's par for the course. Yeah, no one is surprised he said it, but I think like what made everyone just be like, bruh, is it's like so, it's just so blatantly racist. It's not even like.
I gotta stop seeing the Ethan Klein shit, or I'm gonna get myself permed. I'm hanging by a thread. I think I followed all the participants in the China trip just now. But it is so blatantly fucking racist. Is this her Twitch? Yeah, okay, oh man, her Twitch is based. Lychee? Like that's based. That's a really cool Lychee? Is it Lychee? Lychee? How does she pronounce it? She seemed cool as hell. I'm gonna shout her out because I want to be constructive. I want to be constructive. I don't want to just make this be about Ethan Klein being a disgusting racist piece of shit and how if I say what I'm thinking, I'm gone. Like, I'm literally gone from this platform for good. So instead of doing that, Lychee, okay. Instead of doing that, we're going to be non-misogynistic. We're going to be cool, and we're going to be constructive and say her vibes seem great. She was a lot of fun during the China trip. The parts of the stream I saw. Please, please, please support Lychee. Holy fuck, I can't say what I'm thinking. I still want to. I want to say it so bad. I want to say it so fucking bad. How do these guys walk around and all they do is attack women? Where are the men? Where are the men? Like, I know that absent backbone and bald ass Dan are never going to stand up to their fucking boss because they're servants. They're on their lick spittles on their fucking knees cleaning up dog shit and debasing themselves covered by flies because there's so much rotting food in the studio. So there's really nothing these fucking worms won't accept. But Jesus Christ. The misogynistic, the blatant misogynistic racism of calling Hassan's friends who are American honeypots for the CCP. There's a reason he hides in Bel Air, chat. There's a reason he hides at his house. There's a reason. Because he's so disliked. People would be going up to him and be like, why are you such a piece of shit? Drop the lawsuits, Ethan Klein. What a fucking dope.
Acting surprised that Trump is winning cousin states. To be fair, I voted against cousin marriage. New in a 2024 deleted tweet, Afton Bain.
What's wrong with that? Who supports cousin marriage? Cousin marriage is bad. Cousin marriage is bad. We should not be doing cousin marriage.
Amplified a post that said states which voted for President Trump, like Tennessee, were cousin states. She loathes you. She loathes Tennessee. She doesn't belong in Congress. This is awesome. They are unironically saying that they're pro cousin. The RNC research group is like, wow, I can't believe.
First of all, Tennessee banned it. Tennessee banned it. Why are they getting strays? They banned it. Cousin marriage is legal in Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, and Maine. Colorado, New Mexico, California, Alaska, and Hawaii. So Tennessee's getting strays and they banned it. What the fuck? Give them the credit. Props for knowing the difference between Mississippi and Alabama and New Hampshire and Vermont off rip. I know basic geography. Thank you for, is that impressive? Here is a cause of the stray. This is her colleague.
Would move to table this amendment that would allow first cousins to marry.
Members, I would encourage you to vote against the tabling motion for the reason that it is not supported by any argument that this bill complies with Obergefell. And the tabling motion simply tries to under the rug the fact that my Democratic colleagues do not want to address the fact that there is no compelling state interest to prohibit a male first cousin from marrying a male first cousin. Do you also agree, sponsor, that there is no public health risk between or caused by a male first cousin marrying a male first cousin?
I would say that public health is not listed in my bill at all. You can't marry your cousins. Representatives, if you, as your amendment suggested, first cousins to marry, that's fine. I don't think it for you, but I don't think it violates Obergefell at all.
And the fact of the matter is that unless anyone in this body can articulate a compelling interest to deny a male first cousin from marrying a male first cousin, this bill demonstrably violates Obergefell, and we should vote it down.
The reason why first cousins shouldn't be married, besides let's leave aside the genetic closeness factor as far as procreation. The reason why close familial relationships like the children of your parents' siblings should not be married is because there are oftentimes cousins come in contact in familial settings, and those are settings where there should not be a sexually charged environment where you'll have first cousins of significantly separate age, and there could be all sorts of familial pressures, power dynamics, and trust. So I don't want first cousins or within those familiar relationships I don't want those cousins to be sexualizing each other. And I think that in general, in our society, we have enough clear examples of sexual abuse in familial settings where we don't want to encourage that. And in fact, it'd be best if it was discouraged.
Say this, it's outlawed already. It's already outlawed, and those have not been struck down by the courts. So apparently there is some kind of interest.
Okay, now I understand why this cousin shit's being brought up. My God.
Live by the goop, die by the goop. Where is the equalizer?
Look at your inventory right now.
I would risk it all.
What the fuck is
Where's
happening?
the equalizer at?
What the hell is happening? Why am I getting Mr. Peanut Guy yelling at me? Why are bungalators yelling in my ear? I looked up some Arc Raider related video chat, and now I'm a fucking bungalator according to the algorithm. They love the fucking Peanut Guy. And I'm so mad because how long has he been a peanut? How long has Mr. Peanut Guy been a peanut? Because someone tell me, because honestly, kind of feels like stolen VO Valor. I'm just saying. VO was doing that same fucking kind of VTube eye and mouth thing on a sussy and on all sorts of shit. Not long, he redid his bit. I fucking knew it! He gets recommended to me for a lot from sus players I meet in RuneScape. I haven't seen him do anything sus, but maybe you guys do. Listen, he's one of those apolitical Andys. You know, he plays with Ninja and Myth. He can't, I mean, I've seen him play with Ninja. I've seen him play with Shroud. I've seen him play with Myth. Seems fine as far as I saw. I'm not a Ninja fan, but all right, let's keep going. I'm sorry. The Jolt Mine and Jolt Grenade, the showstopper. I can't. I mean, people are going to make Hassan jokes on that. I'm sorry. The meme has gone too far and wide. You know, the meme has gone too far and wide. Like, I don't think I could hold it against people. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
This person that wants to run for office in Tennessee is actually against cousin, unlike us, real Tennesseans. She's literally defending Tennessee in that tweet, saying not all people from Tennessee actually engage in the act of cousin. She's literally saying she is from Tennessee and she has voted against cousin. Tennessee resident back again. Some people here do their cousins. I just don't think that is a single issue voter out there. Okay. I'm going to keep it $1.50. I don't think there's a Tennessee guy out there who's like, listen, I'm a single issue voter. Okay. And for me, that single issue is getting to dick down my cousin. Okay. Blowing my cousin's back walls out. That's it. No other issue. That's the only thing I care about. That's what I vote on.
Meet woke liberal Afton Bain.
This is great. We've got our girl squad.
Meet woke.
Matt Van Epps, the GOP candidate for Tennessee 7 special election next month, started running this attack ad against his Democratic opponent Afton Bain yesterday on Facebook and Instagram. Afton Bain so woke she thinks it's a win to harass police.
Liberal Afton Bain.
This is great. We've got our girl squad and we're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers. So this is a win.
Afton.
She's so fucking cool. What the fuck? How have I not been aware of her? Is anybody in Tennessee working at her campaign? We gotta get her. She seems fun.
Oh my God, she's so sick. Oh my God, what a goddamn legend, dude. Listen, I have admittedly dropped the ball on a lot of these areas while simultaneously talking about the importance of running candidates in areas exactly like this one and telling you over and over again that like there is a lot of promise and a lot of potential in places like this. I'm telling you right now, this is a rare artifact. This is not a rare Pokemon, actually, to be fair. There are a lot of wine moms out there and a lot of liberals out there in places like this that straight up see right from wrong, recognize what's going on as up, and want a real fighter. And it seems like she is. I mean, it seems the polls are showing, you know, that they will respond positively to. Who said Blonde Blazer IRL? Yeah, unlike Blonde Blazer, she would never hurt me.
So woke, she thinks it's a win to harass police.
This is great. We've got our girl squad and we're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers. So this is This is a win.
Woke liberal Afton Bain. When she wins, we lose.
I'm Matt Van Epps, and I approve this message.
Meet woke liberals.
Wait, that's what he
Afton
sounds
Bain.
like?
This is great. We've got
No shot. That's got to be AI, right? If he sounds like that, it's over.
When she wins, we lose.
I'm Matt Van Epps, and I approve this message.
That's AI, right? Except it's not supposed to be AI, I thought. I thought that was the one part of the ad that you can't actually recreate. It has to be like the real
Bug Daddy,
candidate.
thank
no?
you.
No, he just sounds like a nerd with a cold.
Oh my God. Chat, Vio is saying she's going to make a pickle pie for Thanksgiving. The worst part about pickle pie is it's very good. The worst part of pickle pie is that it is so much better than you can possibly imagine that you're kind of like, what? Like everything in your body is telling you, no, this is going to be disgusting. And then you eat it and you're like, damn it. It's good. Son of a bitch. Like everything you know is wrong. Like you slipped into a parallel universe.
With my good friend Bob, good Matt Van Epps here, with my good friend Bob, Kid Rock at his place on Broadway. Need you to get out the vote.
All right, shouldn't be rocket science, kids. Yes.
Oh my God.
We're gonna win.
LeBron numbers incoming.
LeBron. Oh my God, dude. We're gonna get Medicare for all. We're gonna get Medicare for all.
LeBron numbers incoming, dude. I'm Matt Van Epps, and this is my favorite who's endorsing me.
I like the clip channels that have Hassan and then they have him eating and just chewing for like 30 seconds.
It straight up be like, hey, how's that rent looking? Do you feel great when you go to...
This is where you edit in? You edit in a fucking B-roll photo of someone saying rent over money? This is the fucking edit you put in? Come on. Can you not cut the fucking chewing?
The grocery store and things are less affordable than ever before, I'ma fix it.
This has got to be AI editing. But I don't think it is.
That's it.
By the way, I love you, Hassan verse. I'm just giving constructive criticism. Sorry for being over the top. That's what streamers do. We exaggerate a little bit for effect to be more entertaining. I think you do a great job, buddy. I'm not being sarcastic at all.
That's
literally.
It.
Somebody who served our country, thank you for your service.
Sir, thank you.
This willing to put America first against this left-wing lunatic nut job who is pretty much, it's come to surface if you haven't seen it yet, in case you live in a cave, who said she not only hates Nashville, she hates country music. And also, she thinks, if little Johnny goes to school and wants to be called Sarah, that the parents shouldn't be notified, wants to defund the police. I mean, everything else. Come on, people. If you want to live in a city like that, move to Portland. Let's keep Tennessee conservative. Let's keep it moving forward with people like Matt here. And let's not let these lunatics into our politics.
Yeah, let's not bring lunatics into our politics as Kid Rock. Politics is pretty funny.
We all know this is.
You are the lunatic getting into the politic, okay? You fucking stay out of it.
She's doing so great. Like this is, I'm sure she's way to my right, but I have to say, it just seems like she's unbothered.
Republicans are mad at her for protesting against the pedophile. Context matters. Afton for Tennessee Bain was protesting a child sex abuser who admitted it. Now Republicans are attempting to shame her for it. We were there covering the activism of the bird survivors. Afton and others is how the holler was born. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I sure do. And thanks, Matt. I've got an incredible leader, true patriot, and conservative champion with us today, and that's Speaker Mike Johnson.
All right, Speaker Johnson. Oh, wow. Speaker, it is a wonderful honor to get a chance to speak with you, and thank you for coming to us on Super Talk and participating in the 7th Congressional District race.
Thanks so much, guys. Great to be on with the great Matt Murphy. And
oh my fucking God. Everything I'm learning about her in real time makes me love her more. What the fuck?
The system is rigged in Washington. Here's how it works. Politicians make it easy for their rich donors, tax cuts for billionaires, and burying the Epstein files, while hardworking Tennesseans get a rough ride by cutting health care for Tennessee families, doubling health insurance premiums, and tariffs that hurt our economy. I'm Afton Bain, and I approve this message. Vote early to shake up Washington.
Going right after the Epstein files. Yes.
I'm Afton Bain. High grocery prices, worried about healthcare costs, feeling burned by tariffs, then December 2nd
I just hope she doesn't do this like, I'm going to be a blue dog Democrat now.
is your day to shake up Washington. I'm Afton Bain, and in Congress, I'll work for you, not the rich donors or special interests. Together, we can bring balance to Washington by making healthcare more affordable, bringing down the cost of living, and protect workers and small businesses from job-killing tariffs. I'm Afton Bain, and I approve this message to shake up Washington. Angry about high grocery prices? Worried about healthcare?
I love that. I love that people are like, when you're running in Tennessee, you have to make it seem like you're advertising a new type of meat at Applebee's called the Sizzler. Like, that's the background music of your fucking campaign ad. That's awesome. For $14.99 at Applebee's, affordable prices for the Sizzler. That's great. If she's not running under the Democratic Party, is she not running under the Democratic Party because this is in Tennessee? No, she is. Recalled vote 2024 President Tennessee 7, Trump plus 22. This is fucking awesome. Show me an ugly leftist. I'll wait. Me. Your dog needs health care? I agree. Isn't it pathetic that my dog has better health care than you? Isn't that crazy?
Okay. Sir, that was completely unnecessary. We just need to get off. We are just, that is unreasonable. Y'all should be ashamed. Yeah.
She got kicked out of the area that she was in the Capitol because she was protesting a pedophile, and she hit her head. And Republicans are using this against her, which is crazy. A Republican attack ad just dropped too. Let's take a look.
In here. Many of you have been part of my story. I was someone who always wanted to get out of East Tennessee. Let's show the entire country what police abolition looks like, that we can do it. I took that fight statewide.
We're bullying the ICE vehicles and state troopers.
Now I'm running for Congress because
I hate the city.
As a state representative in Tennessee, I don't want children, I want power. I'm Afton Bain. And
I hate all
She's fucking cool.
of the things that make Nashville, apparently.
Afton Bain here.
She's amazing.
And someone who's been trying to make healthcare more affordable in this state for a long time. And I think the paradigm is shifting, and there's a few reasons for that. We've had a Republican trifecta in the state for 15 years, and it has not delivered for the Tennessee people. We are the most dangerous place for workers in the country. We have the highest maternal mortality rate in the country. We have the highest inflationary cost of groceries in the country. And they look around and there's no one else to blame, right?
$8 for a loaf of factory bread?
Obviously, they blame immigrants, but immigrants are not the reason our grocery prices are high. Paradigm is shifting because the Republican trifecta has gotten lethargic. While they've been scapegoating and terrorizing, we have been building and caring for each other. We've been building the organizing muscle.
Oh my gosh, she's awesome. The only thing that I disagree with is that she said affordability for healthcare and not free healthcare. And oftentimes when people say affordability on healthcare, they just mean like they're not in favor of Medicare for all, which I suspect she might not be in favor of Medicare for all, but who knows? Everything else is pretty solid. By conservative logic, state troopers assaulting her, good, but her saying we're bullying state troopers equals bad, yes.
We need to actually win this election. The affordability crisis is hitting everyone. I'm someone in the legislature who's fought to end Tennessee's regressive grocery tax by closing corporate tax loopholes. So there is a shift, and it is going to happen in Tennessee. And as W.E.B. Du Bois once said, as goes the South, so goes the nation.
Very tough district.
Oh
but you can see why
God.
people are excited about it. I mean, she's very impressive. Knows what she...
Oh my God.
W.E.B. Du Bois. Citations. Ladies and gentlemen, we call that a dog whistle. God, I hope she's not bullshitting us.
Brother, who is this person? What is happening, bro? What the fuck is going on? Bain Truther from Nashville, she's goated. GOP here is so cynical. Would love to see her on the stream. We need a social worker like her. She's been outside for a minute. Probably just treading lightly because HCA and healthcare companies based here. Afton is a very powerful white woman name. Yeah, but that's a good thing. Yeah, being a powerful white woman in this situation is solid as hell. I'm telling you, Assange, she's a closet socialist. She's been endorsed by the DSA before and is a paper member. Afton Bennett is running for the Tennessee House District 51. Please join us and learn more as she sits down with us to talk about her campaign. The special election will be coming up soon, August 3rd, with early voting starting this week. Who cares? Talk about the White House. Who even is this woman? Oh my God. Talk about the White House. White House, White House, White House. Who is this? Who cares? Talk about the White House. White House, White House, White House, White House, White House. Lemo. Wait a minute. Other things are happening in the world, even though you spent the first 4 hours of the broadcast talking about the shooting that took place in DC. Chatter. Who is this woman, though? She is running in a plus 20 red district in a special election in Tennessee, and it's actually very close. Okay. Instead of,
by the way, chat, the pollsters are going to be underestimating Democrats. The pollsters are going to be underestimating Democrats. I presume they're going to be underestimating her by at least 3 to 4%. That's my general prediction. So if she's somewhere around that, she's got a real shot
of coming in here and fucking screeching. Maybe you should actually listen to what I have to say. Also, if you want to know what my commentary looks like on the White House, White House, White House, all you need to do is subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service, okay? And rewind. You can use the rewind functionality by subscribing to the Piker Broadcasting Service for free, mind you, for free. I'm broke. Do you not have a Twitch Prime? Ask for a gifted sub and you shall receive. Fudge that, not giving money to Bezos. Well, actually, it's not even on the rewind function because my fucking stream busted. So you can just go and watch the old VOD. So you don't even need to subscribe to use the rewind functionality because Twitch pooped earlier and I covered it for 4 fucking hours. And you can go, yeah, I mean, you got gifted a sub anyway, so you can use the rewind functionality of her. 10 more adopting prison abolition as a political foundation. Here's my lineup of books that enhance my political education. Black women did a lot of labor to get me here, and I'm eternally grateful. Oh my God, that's so sick. Wait, she was posting this in 2024? This is like peak woke 2020 posting. She was Eddington posting in 2024. What the fuck? This is a rare gem.
Alexandra, thank you.
What exactly does Canva graphics mean? Canva graphics is like the corporate Memphis visual style, closely associated with those like
okay, we don't
corporate tour stuff. It may not even work in a Trump 2020 district. It's interesting how she's the first federal candidate to connect the Epstein files to oligarchy.
That's the thing that I see as a huge benefit. Oh my God. Talk about the Epstein files. Israel and the Epstein files are shit that centrist Democrats are so scared to talk about. Oh, I'm pogging right now, folks.
Oh my God. Canva is a non-designer design tool, lots of templates. Okay, chatters, I don't care. We're moving on. I got the message, okay? She was trying to say like those shitty infographics that Instagram, woke people on Instagram would post that were like, here's how supporting Israel is actually a decolonial initiative or whatever, okay? That's what Canva graphics she's referencing. Talk about Jewish supremacy. What the fuck does that have to do with anything right now, man? What are you saying? Get a fucking grip. God damn, y'all are so
bad and Panada. Remember when Bad and Panada tried to call us anti-Semites because we promoted a book about the Israel lobby that was written by like a Harvard's fucking poli-sci professors? And he was like, this book is anti-Semitic. And now he's screeching about Jewish supremacy 24/7. Remember that?
Oh, fucking enough! He says sorry. He can suck my dick. He's lucky he only got a fucking day ban. It's my least favorite type of fucking leftist chatter who's constantly like, you're constantly doing Jewish exceptionalism. You're doing, talk about Jewish supremacy. God damn, dude. Finally, someone other than Zoran or Trump getting a little shine and chatters are losing their fucking minds. Yeah, this lady is awesome, for the record. She's dope. And I'm very excited to see where this goes. But the fact that you got Kamala Harris like endorsing her and shit is wild. I interviewed Afton Bain this morning and it turns out she's a longtime Breaking Points viewer and held up her copy of We've Got People. No way. Aside from those 2 strikes, she's a highly impressive candidate and is closing the gap in her Tennessee special election fast. She didn't buy the squad. I didn't ask. Kamala genuflecting on the fucking socialist wave here is pretty awesome. The Kamala thing was so bizarre because Bain left before Harris showed up and neither of them ever mentioned each other. Kamala was there to be at Fisk University. Fisk is in her state district. Okay. She's dope. Hey, you haven't addressed my revolutionary concerns in the past 20 seconds. And as a revolutionary comrade, I'm very concerned you might be compromised. This is true. I am. I am a filthy revisionist.
Well, chat, I'm going to call it there. Thank you so much. We did a little bit short stream for the holiday. Thank you for being here with us. I hope you enjoyed the stream. fucking crazy day. I'm gonna send you over to Vio because Vio is doing apparently there's a challenge and she'll make me a pickle pie, and obviously herself. And she did it last year and it was good. Don't make me eat pickle pie again, chat. All right, everybody, stay safe out there. Solidarity forever. Here's all my links. Make sure you hit the follow button on all these things. Have a good rest of your holiday. I know I will. So thank you guys, gals, non-binary pals for the support. Thank you for the golden Kappa hype trains. And wow, socialism is winning. We are fucking winning. The vibe shifted and it's been uphill. So let's keep that momentum going. All right, everybody, stay safe. Solidarity forever, my friends. I'll see you soon. Peace out.